It's a gorgeous day here in Toronto as the Blue Jays and Phillies get set to hook it up. Second game of the series. Ricky Romero takes it to the mound for the Blue Jays. And well, this Blue Jays ball club, Pat, has had more than its fair share of injuries.
Never seen three starting pitchers walk off the mound in 1 week. At times it comes over the course of 5 or 6 months, but 3 in 1 week. And don't forget about Sergio Santos, who the Blue Jays really lost at the beginning of the season. As we now head to the middle of June, 3 very big pieces to that pitching staff, and a staff that was thin to begin with.
And you're talking about Brandon Morrow, a guy who was pitching Cy Young award-winning like. So Ricky Romero tried to make it another guy as he was getting his loosening up in today.
Whoa, now wait a minute. Now the karma hasn't been right here this week. The Blue Jays almost lost another starter before he threw his first warm-up pitch, but you can see the smile. The only thing hurt there was probably his pride as he fell down. So, Ricky, I hope you're okay, buddy.
Yeah, like you say, the most painful part, fans in the ballpark. For the Phillies this afternoon against Ricky Romero, Charlie Manuel will line him up for his fighting Phils. With Jimmy Rollins at the top, Placido Polanco is in there at third base today and still swinging a good bat. Hunter Pence is the guy that's featured, and over his last 8 games swinging it very well. Jim Thome also had been swinging it well prior to last night. Shane Victorino is in center at first base. Ty Wigginton, John Mayberry Jr. will be in left field. Brian Schneider does the catching, and Michael Martinez will be at second base.
Ricky Romero coming off his shortest outing of the season, just 4 innings pitched and 69 pitches in that outing against Atlanta. 7-1, which is the second best winning percentage in the American League. Still hasn't found his groove and throwing consistent strikes like we have seen Romero in the past. But once he does that, once he finds that good release point, you've got plenty of pitches to get you out with, averaging almost 7 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Over the last 3 starts, Ricky has not been the guy that was walking everybody inside. He's only walked 4 in those 3 starts, but keep in mind that most recent start at Atlanta, just 4 innings, so he doesn't have all the innings built up.
The ball was up in that start against Atlanta.
Jimmy Rollins leads it off, and Ricky finds the strike zone. Blue Jays winners last night 3-0, and it was the bullpen getting the job done once again. For Ricky Romero, one assignment certainly is in his head to get very deep into this ball game and save that pen.
He's always looking to go 7 innings whenever he steps out onto that mound. I think this afternoon you got to start thinking 8, maybe even a complete game, because the bullpen has put in 24 innings already this week in 4 games. So John Farrell certainly would like to see his starter go a little bit deeper.
If you're Ricky Romero, how do you figure you can best get there?
I think the important thing for Ricky is to have quick innings. Attack the strike zone. Just pound it right into that. And if you do that, I think you'll be fine. Let's take a look at the scouting report for Ricky Romero, brought to you by Home Hardware. Homeowners helping homeowners. The fastball percentage, the usage, is a little bit down from last year. Now just 65%. Last year it was more at 71%. He still has some strikeout and pitches that he can get you out with, the change and the curveball. Both of those pitches, batters hitting under 200 against Romero. So that'll be key to get those pitches over.
Getting that first strike and being able maybe also to use his changeup the way he does when he has huge games. But like you say, getting quick outs would be something he would love to do. Cliff Lee does that exceptionally well.
In the one way to do that, first pitch strikes. Yep. Ricky, one of the lowest in Major League Baseball at getting that first pitch strike percentage. That's the best right there in Cliff Lee. Romero, the 3rd worst in baseball. If you do that, you're going to have quick innings.
In good part because of the Romero changeup, he is still dominating right-handed bats. They're hitting 199 against him. It's the left-handed bats that continue to give Ricky a tough time.
I think he's got to use his changeup just a little bit more to the lefties. His splits before this year against lefties were very good because he used his changeup.
A big swing by Polanco that goes all the way around and knocks the mask of Aaron Sevilla right off. All part of the good time of being a catcher in the big leagues.
Well, you get hit with the ball, You get hit with foul tips, and now you get hit with the baseball bats.
They're just very fortunate that that doesn't come around and hit the ear area. 2-2 from Ricky. He tries to come with that changeup.
It's a unique type of changeup. We got to see Steven Strasburg's changeup this week when the Washington Nationals were in town, and his has more of a fading action to it. It's a little bit harder. Ricky's has more of a tumbling action, almost like a split finger fastball, where he can get a lot of strikeouts when he gets it into the strike zone.
Ball might have been away, but driven into the gap in right center, and that's going to go to the wall. Placido Polanco, who did not start in last night's game, has himself a one-out double.
Pitch that was up and away. It looked like the fastball. It looked like he tried to get him to swing through this one or hit it off the end of the bat, but it's up. If it's away and down, that's going to be a tough pitch for Polanco, but it was away and up, and he just shoots it into the gap in right field.
For Polanco, his 11th two-bagger on the season. Yeah, you have to figure when you're facing Cliff Lee, even though he hasn't won a ball game, you can't give up runs early in the ball game.
And that's when he turns it on and turns it up to another level.
Hunter Pence takes one inside.
Good numbers this year, excuse me, Alan, for Hunter Pence. 13 home runs and the on-base percentage and so on, but struggling this year versus the left-handed pitching.
And that's something. What do we have? The battle of the High Sox. My High Sox trump yours.
This is something that Ricky has started this week here at the ballpark. The 3 games against Washington, and now his start here this afternoon against Philadelphia. Just changed things up a little bit. Things haven't been going well with the pant leg all the way down.
Pence lines one down the left side. That's into the corner for a ground rule double, and immediately puts the Phillies on top 1-0.
That's a unique stance and a unique approach at the plate for Hunter Pence. He's a very good bad ball hitter. He's a very aggressive hitter at the plate. Hits from an open stance and waits for a pitch down and in, and he wraps that ball in the left field. It doesn't look pretty, but it gets the job done. He's got good numbers.
Watching him play catch, just loosening up the arm today, and it is just bizarre watching some of his mannerisms.
And he leads National League outfielders in assists.
In his case, don't judge the book by its cover.
There you go. He's a good ball player.
11th double now for Hunter Pence. So Romero yields the 2 doubles here in the first inning. Not sure what Jim Thome is asking about at home plate.
I don't think he's real happy with the box that he stepped in. Like it's muddy or soft or something, and they might want to bring out the ground crew to do a little work around home plate. Thome looking at it again now, trying to dig and get a little foothold. It's a very hard clay here at Rogers Center around home plate. Maybe he is wanting a little bit more of the top turfus so he can mix that in right there. It looks very wet.
Does look wet, but it looks like he's able to dig in a little bit and get that toe hold.
Well, the last thing you want is to slip, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to bring some of that turfus out here to mix it with the wet dirt around home plate to get a little bit better footing in that left-handed batter's box.
Now, don't mess up the chalk lines in the process. Let's see what Jim Thome did when he came into the box initially. Immediately, just with one swipe of that left foot, notifies the home plate umpire Paul Schreiber that something isn't exactly to his liking.
Scrapes off that top portion of the soil that was very wet with that clay. So all they had to do was just mix in some of that turfus, some dirt, and that'll help. That's the worst thing you want is a slipping while you're trying to swing the bat.
1 out, Pence at second base, 1-0 Phillies. Jim Thome came into this series a hot hitter, finally getting a chance. Romero tries to find that inside corner. Pretty good looking pitch.
Jim Thome is at the point in his career where his numbers, every time he does something, he is passing Hall of Famers, icons in the baseball world. He is one shy of Mickey Mantle for 7th place on the all-time list in walks, to go along with those 607 home runs.
That has to feel strange somehow, to have your name associated with some of the greats of the game like Mickey Mantle.
In the same sentence with Mickey Mantle.
Little chopper foul. And you talk about left-hand hitters on that career home run list. Jim Thome's right there.
Barry Bonds, Babe Ruth, Ken Griffey Jr., Jim Thome, Rafael Palmeiro. The Titans, when it comes to home runs in baseball history. Babe Ruth, Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds. Jim Thome right there, the 4th most home runs by a left-hander in baseball history. More than Lou Gehrig, more than Willie Stargell. Some other left-handed power hitters that I remember, more than Ted Williams.
Of course, you start talking about some of those guys that spent some years in the war, but just a phenomenal list of names. Curveball got him. Ricky Romero bends the big one. Picks up his first strikeout.
That's a big pitch for Romero. The curveball. If he can get that over and get it into the strike zone, he'll have one of those big days when it comes to strikeouts. Big out right there, getting an RBI man in Thome.
Thome had hit safely in 6 straight coming into yesterday's game before going 0 for 3. And now with 2 down, the man to get is Shane Victorino. Victorino, switch hitter, batting right-handed. As the pitch is low, seen Joe Madden turn hitters around on the likes of Ricky Romero. The switch hitters tell him to go ahead and hit left-handed because the left-handers have had better success. We see Victorino batting right-handed. Changeup floats through.
That's why there are switch hitters, because that breaking ball is always coming into you. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to then go to the left-hand batter's box to face Ricky Romero, but the splits suggest that that's just what you should do. He has had a lot more success against righties.
Left-hand hitters enjoy about an 80-point advantage.
Versus Romero, and Shane Victorino likes him. Loves the lefties.
Hitting the majority of his home runs against lefties, and that's rare for switch hitters because their at-bats against lefties are much slimmer than what they'll have against right-handers.
There's not enough lefties to go around you. You're always hitting left-handed as you face so many righties.
In fact, just 56 at-bats for Victorino this year while hitting those 5 home runs against the left-handers. He drills one but hooks it foul. That was a little more than the ball boy was counting on.
Had some hair on it right there. Now he got him out in front with that pitch. Got a couple of choices now. He can go with Victorino. He can try and heat him up with a fastball, or try and get him to fish for one of those good changeups.
2-2, a little tapper toward Kelly Johnson. He'll make the play on the first, and Ricky Romero gets out of the first inning as the Phils pick up a run on a pair of doubles. For the Blue Jays, as Ricky takes it to the dugout, it's the top of the order: Brett Lawrie, Colby Rasmus, and Jose Bautista. first inning. He will get those guys at the top, Brett Lawrie and Colby Rasmus, who have been so good since being inserted there. And Jose Bautista, you talk about good in interleague play. He continues what he does, 11 for 34, 5 dingers, 10 RBIs. Edwin Encarnacion follows, trying to get hot once again. Kelly Johnson, Yunel Escobar. Yan Gomes in there as the DH this afternoon. JP back behind the plate, and Rajay Davis with that speed and power bat of late in left field.
Cliff Lee is winless over his first 10 starts of the season. He had never gone more than 3 starts without a win to begin a season in his career. 7 no decisions and an 0-3 record. Versus Toronto Blue Jays, he has held the Blue Jays to 2 earned runs or less in 5 of his 10 career starts against the Jays. But he, I think, is one of the elite pitchers in the National League. Great numbers all the way around, except in the wing column.
One of those guys that picks up more than a strikeout an inning without having the big-time fastball. There's the heater at 91 to start things.
Well, he's got 4 pitches that he can throw at any time in all 4 quadrants of the strike zone. So you got to guess along with Cliff Lee. Throws some of the one of the highest pitches for strikes, first pitch strikes all season long, but he is a pitcher.
This curveball's hit on a line to right field. Hunter Pence will move toward the line to make the play.
Let's take a look at the scouting report for Cliff Lee, the left-hander for the Phillies. Fastball, cutter, changeup, curve. He'll use all 4 of them at any time in the count. And they just don't seem to square up Lee very often. Fastball, batters hitting 202 against him. He'll mix it up. He'll move the ball in and out. He'll go forwards and backwards. So it's tough to pick up a pattern with Lee.
He'll spot it like that, just trying to pick at the edges. And all the while, won't walk many.
Outstanding command. This year, the highest walks he's had in one game was 3.
Rasmus offers, taps it foul. Another aspect about Cliff Lee this year, he has yet to allow a stolen base. Only 1 caught against him trying to run, so that says he's just shutting down the running effort. Of course, he normally has Carlos Ruiz behind the plate. Ruiz pulling a rib muscle last night and figures to miss the next couple of games here in the series. Rasmus drives one to left center. Easy play from Mayberry as he drifts toward the track. That's 2 down here in the first.
The one thing about Cliff Lee, though, is he is a fly ball pitcher. He will give up the ball in the air, and that's what hurt him the last time the Blue Jays faced Lee last season in July. Gave up 3 home runs.
Well, I think I've figured out what's gone wrong for Cliff Lee this year with the 0-3 record. This is the first season in his career that he's actually given up a few more ground balls than fly balls. So he's got it all wrong this year.
More fly balls, that's the answer?
Got it. Well, yeah, give up more fly balls once again. Give up the home run, and you come out on top when it's all said and done. Bautista pops it up on the right side. Wigginton now makes that play in front of Martinez, and just 7 pitches for Cliff Lee to get through the first inning, and that's what he does so well. The Phils lead it 1-0.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by your local independently owned home hardware and building center location. Homeowners helping homeowners.
Just a gorgeous day in Toronto. The Blue Jays trail at 1-0 after 1 inning of play. Ty Wigginton is the 6th hitter for the Phillies, as Romero tries to get in front again. Ricky allowed a couple of doubles back-to-back from Polanco and Pence in the first inning, providing that Philadelphia run. And again, Cliff Lee just 7 pitches to get through his 3 hitters. Shallow fly ball starting back, and now coming on hard is Colby Rasmus to make a fine grab. Colby Rasmus has those long legs and just lopes into balls. He can really go get them.
Yeah, even when you misjudge it momentarily, the ball hit off the end of the bat by Wigginton. Colby thinks it's more into the gap, but then realizes it's going to die in front of him, and here he comes. Just plucking it right out of the air with those long strides.
When I watch Colby Rasmus, he sets his head down. He gets his eyes down. You remember back in playing times when you were kind of struggling to see a ball and you get your eyes down and you felt like you could judge it better. And that's what I see with Colby Rasmus. He'll get those eyes down and just stalk balls. John Mayberry stands in. Junior's had a bit of a struggle this year, hitting .222, 3 homers. Phillies figured he could be a guy that would play a good part of the time, produce some offense, much needed offense for these Phillies. Just has not worked out, and here in the last 19 games certainly has not worked out.
On base percentage of .259. We showed that with Mayberry. Just 8 walks and 44 strikeouts. That's been a big problem for him, being able to get on base just a little bit more. So when you get into those mini slumps that you have during the season, at least you can mix in a walk here and there. But he's got good power.
Big guy. Not big and thick like his dad, but
no.
Tall, angular, strong in that direction. Ricky Romero has pretty good heat here this afternoon. He's been up to 93. The chopper rolls foul. And Ricky Romero has enjoyed very much this year pitching here at the Rogers Center. In 6 previous starts, 5-0. ERA at .351, much better than the .479 on the road. Ricky trying to get the Blue Jays back a game over 500, start moving in that right direction again. It's been a tough go of late prior to yesterday's win against the Phils.
You know, we talked about it in the opening about Romero having to go a little bit deep. Give that bullpen a little bit of a blow this afternoon. Through 8 1/3 innings in yesterday's ballgame, 24 for the week. And I think if he gets ahead of hitters this afternoon, no need to set them up. No need to throw any waste pitches. Use those pitches that you have, a good curveball, a good changeup, and 2-strike counts, and use those right away.
I think that's one of the things that can go wrong with Ricky at times. He had a 1-2 count on Mayberry and then brought a fastball and missed 2-3 feet outside. Curveball in the dirt, and again Aaron Sebia does a nice job with blocking in the event of the half swing. But now the count runs full again rather than that chance to maybe get a quick out.
Yeah, those waste pitches don't do you any good. They just run your pitch count up. Just go right after them.
Another pitch foul back. I played for a manager. I played for a couple that just hated 0-2 pitches getting hit, even if they were down out of the strike zone, up over a guy's head, whatever the case may be, to the extent that they fined the pitcher and catcher. And I thought it was ludicrous, because what it forced us to do was just go ahead and throw a fastball 2 feet outside and then move forward. Here's a line drive. Rasmus starts in and now back to make the play. This ball was stung by Mayberry.
Yeah, you don't want to give up hits 0-2 because you've gotten ahead and that you want to make them hit your pitch. But sometimes batters hit your pitch.
How many times did you hit a very tough pitch and dunk one somewhere? And you know,
not
it happens.
very often.
Well, I think you did probably. Not with the bases loaded. You just hung out line drives then.
Yeah. But point taken. No need to go ahead and waste pitches.
No.
Go ahead and finish them off.
Make tough pitches.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you'll give up an occasional hit. Brian Schneider stands in. He's the catcher this afternoon with the very fine Carlos Ruiz going down in last night's game. Ruiz has turned into one of the National League's and Major League Baseball's outstanding catchers.
Not just defensively, but offensively also this year, putting his whole game together. Oblique strain that forced him out of last night's game. Has been dealing with a hamstring problem also.
Fastball just gets away from Ricky, and that's that same area that he missed on Mayberry away. So on that arm side, just not finishing it as he drills Snyder.
Yeah, getting out and finishing. You want to finish out over your front side, and that time it's right off the third button of that jersey of Snyder. But you want to get out over your front side and finish. And that'll give you the extra life that you need.
So Snyder hit by the pitch with 2 outs. It brings up the 9-hitter, Michael Martinez, who lines one to left field. Rajay gets a late jump as it drops in front. Hit number 3 for the Phillies. Runners at first and second, and now back to the top of the order. And I was about to say, in hitting Snyder, what Ricky Romero wound up doing is eliminating the chance to start the next inning with the 9-hitter.
Yeah, turn over the lineup now after giving up the single. Rajay Davis, a little bit of a slow read on that ball. It's up. And there is the reaction from Ricky Romero, hoping that a speedy left fielder could make the play.
Now you see that from the pitcher. He sees that same read that maybe I felt initially. If you get that good jump, Rajay can come on and make the play. And now Ricky's work is cut out for him. Jimmy Rollins stands in, drills one into left field. Rajay has to charge, and the slow-footed catcher Schneider held at third base. So Romero now has the bases loaded, but fortunate that the Phils have not put another run on the board.
2 quick outs in the second inning, a couple fly balls to center field, then that one pitch, the hit batter, now 2 singles. 2 pitches later, this one right at Rajay, and no chance for Snyder to come around to score.
You'd love to be right around the 15-pitch mark, especially if you have that desire to get 8 or 9 innings. And we've talked about it. Ricky, no doubt, feels that need today. But Ricky already at 40 pitches as he tries to get out number 3 here in the second inning.
Averaging about 17 pitches per inning. Morrow and Alvarez, the starters for Blue Jays, a little bit better.
Ricky gets ahead. Does it with the curveball. Don't want to go any further. The power guy this year anyway for the Phillies, Hunter Pence, waits on deck. Ground ball hit to short. This should do it as Escobar feeds Johnson at second for the force out. And the Phils are done in the second inning. Pick up a couple of hits and leave 3. For the Blue Jays in the second inning, it'll be cleanup man Edwin Encarnacion, Kelly Johnson, and Yunel Escobar. Annual Ladies Jays food drive right here at the ballpark. That's in support of Food Banks Canada. Tomorrow, bring your non-perishable food items and cash donations to gates 3, 5, 10, and 13. Mystery bags will be available for a donation of $25 or more. For tickets, call 416-341-1234. Go to BlueJays.com where you can check it out at most Rogers Plus locations. And again, the ladies are right here this afternoon. They would love your donations to help out with Food Banks of Canada.
And if you don't know them, they've got their husbands' jerseys on, so you can relate to them. Go out there and give your cash. It's a great cause.
Very sweet ladies, and great time to get to meet them. Talk a little baseball with them. Pitch is fouled, and Edwin once again does a little bat toss. This one winds up in the seats. See that left hand of Encarnacion come off the bat a lot of times, and when the right hand comes off, and it happens a lot for most hitters, it's a bad combination.
Third time this homestand that Edwin has lost his bat during an AB. And that's something we didn't see the first couple of months of the season because he was really concentrating on holding on it onto the bat with two hands. Just 1 for 14 on this homestand.
Lee comes up with the fastball. Hitters will go through their hot streaks and their cold spells over the course of a season. For Edwin, he had been so hot and swinging that power bat for so long. Really felt like an awfully consistent Edwin Encarnacion, something that he's had troubles with in the past. Curveball got him. And Lee will tantalize with that hook and the changeup right on the edges. One thing Cliff Lee does when he comes out to warm up for every inning is quite unique.
Yeah, he goes to the back of the mound where it's a little bit steeper incline or decline, and he wants to really concentrate on getting over that front side. So he'll throw a practice pitch just like that and then go up and throw his pitches. And again, the reason he does that is to really feel himself going over that front side. And when you do that, that's when you get the finishing pitches, finishing touch to your pitch, where you get a little bit extra action on it.
Get that throwing arm and shoulder to extend right on beyond that lead knee, if you will. Kelly Johnson stands in, hits one to second. Martinez is there. He throws out Johnson in the second out here in the second inning, and Cliff Lee still doing what he loves to do, very quick innings.
Throw a lot of strikes, get a lot of swings. That might not be a bad exercise, I think, for Ricky Romero to use. That backside of the mound where it's a little bit steeper and you can really feel yourself going over your front side.
Ricky is, in my estimation, a bit of a stand-up pitcher anyway. And I don't know how he feels that would work. I had a pitching coach who would actually take guys to the back of the mound on the flat portion and stride up the mound as they made their delivery. And boy, you talk about a need to try to bend the back over and get out in front. It really accentuates that.
That's what the whole exercise was for, to get up over your front leg.
In fact, they would throw a number of pitches, fastballs from that area, and then get up on the hill. And at that point, they could get the ball down without even trying. Ball hit in the air and deep to left field off the bat of Escobar at the wall. Watch it. It's gone. Yunel Escobar has hit his 4th long ball of the year, 19th RBI, getting the Blue Jays back even with the Phillies.
They wanted to work with him about standing a little taller at the plate and driving the ball. They felt like he was hunched over a little bit too much flexion in those legs, and he was hitting on top of the baseball instead of through the baseball. Good looking swing right there from Yunel Escobar. See, that feels good right there. Good start to your afternoon.
Yunel was staring up at us saying, that's 20 RBIs for me, not 19. Yan Gomes gets a start as the DH and fouls one back.
They're a little bit higher in the stance, and that allows that bat to come through there a little bit freer. And he knew it as soon as he hit it.
You know, that's intriguing watching that swing of Escobar. He did the one-handed extension type of swing as he hits the home run. And we were talking about Edwin, how he's been trying this year to use two hands. Watch the extension gotten by using the left hand only through the hitting zone. really beyond the hitting zone.
And that'll create some bat speed. Got fooled a little bit on that off-speed pitch from Cliff Lee.
How often that happens. You get an off-speed pitch, you get out in front with great extension and drive the ball. And now Gomes is caught looking. Lee gets through the second inning, but not without the Blue Jays scoring. Yunel Escobar ties it at 1. This afternoon gets us tied at 1.
Home run number 4. Go down and get it. And he finishes at 10. That's some good reaction. He always knows when the camera's on, doesn't he? Playing for that red light.
Nothing wrong with that. Living at large with Yunel Escobar. Hunter Pence leads off the third inning for the Phillies. First offering misses for Ricky Romero. 43 pitches now. And good time to start tightening that up a bit. Cliff Lee through his 2 innings, just 18 pitches. It looked like the Phillies may be using the ploy of trying to take some pitches early. The way you change that is get ahead and stay ahead.
They have the same stats that we do on Ricky Romero. Highest walk per 9-inning percentage.
Ground ball to third. 2 hops for Laurie. Accurate throw for out number 1.
And the lowest first pitch strike, so it's not a bad idea to go up there and try and work the count, get deep into the game, and get into that bullpen. Blue Jays had to make a roster move this morning to help solidify that bullpen.
Jim Thome stands in, strikeout victim in the first inning. Swings through a fastball. That roster move as the Blue Jays wound up placing Drew Hutchison on the DL. Robert Coelho comes back up to the ball club from Las Vegas. Big right-handed pitcher.
Just a little bit more depth in the bullpen. Give him another arm that can get him through the next few days.
Now, Carlos Villanueva would not be available out of the pen today, pitching last night, and looks like he'll be in the rotation. But minus Carlos Villanueva, I have 8 pitchers out of that bullpen for the Blue Jays today.
Yes. Yeah. Carlos Villanueva probably not available for today and tomorrow after he threw 4 innings yesterday. So 4 righties and 4 lefties again for John Farrell this afternoon.
Well, that's close.
There they are.
There you go. 5 righties. And you see the Phillies have 6 men in their bullpen. Ball is hit on the ground to the right side, but with that shift on, Brett Laurie from shallow right field makes the play. So that's another 5-3 for the putout. 2 down.
The all-new 2012 Honda CR-V. Yeah, it does that. Honda, the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
All right.
Romero gets a couple of quick outs. He did the same thing in the second inning and then hit a man, allowed a couple of base hits as the Phils loaded the bases before finally Romero getting out of the frame. But now can Ricky find a way to prosper, get some 3-out, 3-hitter innings?
Yeah, you need those 3 up, 3 down, under 10 pitches to get him a little bit deeper.
Ball hit sharply. That's a base hit. So a 2-out single for Victorino will move it along to Ty Wigginton. And for the Phillies, that's 5 hits already.
3 singles and a double. Pitch out over the plate for Victorino. Much better splits against the left-handed pitching. Him hitting from the right side, and he's got good speed. 14 for 16 in stolen bases, and it's a good time for him to go. 2 outs, get yourself in the scoring position for Wigginton.
Romero has the ability to shut down running games. He can be quick to the plate. Doesn't have what you call a super deceptive move to first base, but he'll pick off a few. He'll catch guys going on first move. Pitch was left up, but the count evens at a ball and a strike. Yeah, Victorino's a guy that in 3 different seasons on his career has stolen 30+ bags. Not quite that same guy now, but off to a good start on this season.
Yeah, 14 for 16. The Phillies have always had a very good base stealing percentage. Always up near the top in the National League in their steal percentage. So they pick the right time. They don't run a lot. They pick the right time, and they're usually successful.
You know, when you talk lifetime with Victorino, he is exactly that, Tabby. On his career, 176 stolen bases, caught just 39 times, so he does pick the right times.
75 to 80% is a good percentage for a player and a team.
There he goes. Pitch is hit off the fist looper, and that's going to drop into center field for a base hit. Rasmus will have to get it back in quickly, stopping at third base Victorino. So once again, a second straight inning for Ricky after getting the first 2 hitters. Then the troubles begin.
It was the 8 and 9 hitters last inning. This time it's the 5 and 6 hitters. Hit softly into center field as Victorino measures Romero and takes off. Makes it easily into third base.
Runners at the corners for Philadelphia. A 1-1 tie. And John Mayberry, who lined out sharply to center field, stands in. You would figure at this point Ricky can focus entirely on Mayberry, not worrying about Wigginton at first base.
Not much of a threat to steal over there.
Ricky Romero has now allowed 14 hits in his last 6 2/3 innings pitched. Does that become alarming for you at any point?
Yeah, I think anytime anybody gives up the amount of hits / base runners that we have seen can become alarming. Right now it's just his pitch location. I remember in the Atlanta game when he gave up 4 hits.
Pitch is hammered on a line to left field. Rajay's back at the wall. This one is out of here. A line drive home run for John Mayberry Jr. A 3-run job, and the Phillies jump on top 4-1. And all of this coming with 2 outs in the 3rd inning. For Mayberry, that's his 4th on the year. The 3 RBIs give him 9, so you can see the numbers have been sparse to this point.
Well, we told you that he's got some power and some pop, and he gets his bat sped up on a breaking ball that's out over the plate. Homered here last year, showing that kind of power, and he does it again.
For Ricky Romero, that's 11 home runs allowed on the season. We have been statistically challenged up here this afternoon.
It's never right.
It just isn't fair. Pitch is fouled down the left field side. You know, you try to read them, and sometimes it bites you in the tail.
We shortchanged John Mayberry a little bit right there.
Did we?
He now has 19 RBIs after that 3-run home run. The stats that were written down were wrong.
Imagine that. 1-2 the count. Ricky Romero gets Pence and Tomei to start this third inning, and then 3 straight hits, the third of which is a home run by John Mayberry Jr. And Ricky at 62 pitches trailing 4-1, not exactly the way he planned this afternoon.
2 very weak ground ball outs to start this inning. 1-2. Laurie on the left side, and then on the shift.
Pitch it sharply, but right at Escobar on that shift left side with only him there. He'll make the play, and for the Phillies in the third inning, 3 runs on 3 hits. John Mayberry with the big swing of the inning. Feeling a bit of frustration.
Yeah, you're right. After 2 quick outs again, a single home run. So that will frustrate anybody, I think.
And it's been a tough grind for Ricky. Over his last 8 starts coming into play today, his ERA had jumped by a full run. He had been pitching very well to that point. He's still been picking up the wins, but he's been fortunate that the Blue Jays have swung the bats well for him.
The second best winning percentage in the American League. Won 7 out of his 8 decisions.
And now the Blue Jays bats are going to have to get something going against Cliff Lee, who has breezed through a pair of innings despite the home run solo job by Yunel Escobar that at the time tied it at a run apiece. JP Arancibia hitting just .219 as he fouls one back. These are phenomenal numbers on Arancibia when you project an entire season based on his numbers to this point compared to last year.
Yeah, right on. And he had a very productive season last year with 23 home runs and nearly 80 RBIs. You're right on that same pace this year.
Hits one on the ground to short. 2 hops for Jimmy Rollins. He'll make the play, and out number 1. And as we talk about JP and those numbers, take a look at this.
Last year hit .219, 23 home runs and 78 driven in. His projection based on where he is now, identical numbers as he put up last year. So if you like a lot of home runs and RBIs from your catcher, here's your man right here.
Well, you're getting that power production, and you know JP feels he's a better hitter than the batting average would indicate.
Yeah. We all do. We all think he's better than that .220 average.
Rajay Davis bunts and drops it as it rolls foul third base side. Davis trying to get a start here in the third inning. You get Rajay on base, whether it's a walk, hit batter, bunt, single, whatever the case may be, and Rajay will turn it into a double in a heartbeat, sometimes a triple.
It was Rajay Davis last year, if you remember, in that start that Cliff Lee he had here in July. He came in here with a scoreless streak, a scoreless inning streak, and Rajay Davis led off the third inning and later scored. He led off that third with a triple and later scored on a ground out, and that snapped Cliff Lee's scoreless streak at 34 innings that he had. And the Blue Jay home run bats came out in that game in the 8th inning. They hit 3 home runs in the 8th inning and beat Cliff Lee 7-4.
You won't see that very often with Cliff Lee. He doesn't walk men. He doesn't give up many home runs. Here's a ground ball base hit up the middle. So Rajay Davis, one way or another, finds a way to pick up a single. Hit number 2 for the Blue Jays.
And Cliff Lee shaking his head saying, how do I get Rajay Davis out? That's 7 for 12 now. Little cut fastball on the outer half. Sends it right back from where it came.
Something has to give here. Rajay Davis is a hard guy to keep pinned to a base. Cliff Lee has not allowed a stolen base all season. Just one attempt against him with a man caught. And so we'll see how this plays out. Rajay Davis just tearing up Cliff Lee lifetime. And you can see there with Cliff Lee in that quick slide step to the plate. He's looking right at the runner, brings it to the plate so quickly, and base runners are going to realize timing wise, without a poor throw, they're just not going to have a chance.
Yeah, it's very tough to get any type of break from first base with that kind of delivery.
And you can see even with that a flinch from Rajay Davis.
He was getting a one-way lead over there at first base. Very aggressive lead with a foot on the carpet. And then the first move that Cliff Lee had, he was going to go back and just try and draw a throw.
Maybe try to see the Class A pickoff move. Rajay goes. Pitch is popped up on the right side. Going to be a tough play down that right field line. And it drops. And now kicks into foul territory. Rajay Davis couldn't go. And all he can do is get to second base as Brett Lawrie has his first hit on the afternoon. Little pop fly that drops. That's what happens when you get a man on the move. When you've got a shift going on in the infield, it creates holes. And in this case, that hole was down the right field side.
Watch the second baseman right there. He is the guy who is the only one who could have made this play. But because he's got to cover second base on the steal attempt, no chance for Wigington, the first baseman, and really Hunter Pence playing too deep. So it's going to drop in. Rajay Davis is going to go up and back and then make it easily to second base. But you're right. You start that runner at first base. The second baseman has to cover, and you bloop one down the right field line. The only guy who can catch it is the second baseman, and he's out of position.
So the Blue Jays catch a break against Cliff Lee. Now try to cash in on that break. Colby Rasmus and Jose Bautista coming to the plate. A couple of the guys that have really been swinging the power bats. Rajay goes for third, and he's in there, and that was a close play. Good throw from Brian Schneider. We saw Brett Lawrie thrown out at third base last night trying to steal the bag. But now runners at first and third. Rajay Davis, again, very hard to try to keep pinned to a bag.
Well, he gets a running lead and a good secondary lead, and with that excellent speed, you can see he moves in right before the tag, and he keeps his foot on that base.
16th stolen base on the season for Davis. But with that diving effort of his, he just keeps going by the bag, and in the end he relies on that back foot to keep him pinned to the bag.
And it stayed on there. That third base umpire Mike Everett stayed right with that one to make sure that that foot didn't come off.
Pitch inside on Rasmus. So 16 stolen bases, caught just 3 times for Davis. That's one of those scenarios Brett Lawrie could not count on Rajay Davis going, and if you try to follow on the backside and don't have a great jump, you can simply get thrown out yourself.
Yeah, you've got to get a sign where you know that he's going to be taken off and really face that runner, anticipate him trying to steal. Catchers have a sign when there are runners on first and second if they're going to ignore the runner at third and just throw to second.
Here's a looper going to drop in right field. RBI single Rasmus as Davis scores, and now Laurie digs for third base. The throw comes in on a couple of hops, and the Blue Jays have runners at the corners once again. Colby Rasmus comes through with a key hit against the left-hander. RBI number 30 for Colby as he's 1 for 2 on the day. And now the Blue Jays have a great shot at picking up at least a pair in this third inning.
Breaks his bat, but fights off this pitch into right field. His first career hit off of Cliff Lee. And when Hunter Pence lays back to make that catch on the base hit, Brett Lawrie recognizes that with that good speed. He makes his way to third base. Most outfield assists in the National League, but he had to wait back on that ball, and that just gave Lawrie time enough to get to third.
Now runners at the corners for Jose Bautista. Bautista now 4th in the American League in home runs. He pops one up on the right side. So the Phillies have a chance to wiggle out of this inning. The second baseman Martinez calls and makes the play. And a key out, getting Bautista to pop out, and that puts it in the hands of Edwin Encarnacion.
Ty Wigginton had no chance on that ball. As soon as it went up, he was telling the infield, I don't see it. Right into the sun. And at the last minute, Martinez came over and called him off. That's what Ty Wigginton was looking into.
Get that ball right in the middle of the sun, and you just don't have a chance. You have to create an angle. You've got to have the glasses work and just everything. Maybe utilize a glove.
He had it down. He had the glove up. He just lost it.
Bautista starts the day 4th in RBIs. So now, as we say, it's in the hands of Edwin Encarnacion, who starts the day 5th in RBIs. 47 for Bautista, 44 for Edwin.
A little bit of a dry spell right now for Encarnacion. Just a couple of games. Then came back in that Atlanta series, had a good series.
Edwin hitless in his last 3 games. A couple against the Washington Nationals, last night against the Phillies.
And a little dry in the RBIs. Good time to pick him up right here.
Edwin just 2 RBIs over the last 10 games. One and 2 the count as Lee gets in front. Well, you get that pop out of a guy like Bautista with runners at first and third and 1 out, and if you're Cliff Lee, that's one of the key outs that you can look back at. And now picking off the runner from first base, Rasmus gets hung up, and that'll bring Laurie to the plate. The throw's a good one, and Schneider will block the plate as he applies the tag, and the Blue Jays get hit with another caught stealing as Colby Rasmus at first base just takes off too early, and the Blue Jays run themselves right out of an opportunity in the third inning. This is what it looked like leaving too early, and the Blue Jays wind up with just 1 run in the third. It's now 4-2 Phils. fourth inning we go. Ricky Romero set to work it and misses badly on that first offering. 9-hitter Michael Martinez at the plate. He's 1 for 1. Change up. Grounded foul outside the bag at third. Enjoying those big comfy green chairs in the TD Comfort Zone are guests of TD. The TD Comfort Zone courtesy of TD. Taking in the sun and the fun at Rogers Center. Phillies having a little more fun than the Blue Jays here early on. And Ricky misses again up and away and just not finishing the pitch.
Yeah, get that ball out in front and really drive it towards home plate.
Each team with a home run on the afternoon. This ground ball is to Laurie. He'll glove take his time and throw him out. Out number 1, back to the top. Jimmy Rollins will stand in. Rollins had a base hit in the second inning. It came with runners at first and second and 2 outs, but that lead runner was Brian Schneider, the catcher, unable to score on the single, a ball that was hit sharply to left field. Turns the bunt, comes up empty. The Phillies picked up a run in the first inning. Back-to-back doubles with 1 out by Placido Polanco and Hunter Pence. And then 3 runs in the third inning, all with 2 outs. Victorino and Wigginton with singles, and then John Mayberry Jr. slams his 4th home run of the year to left field. Line drive shot that got out. Well, the Blue Jays picked up a run in the second inning, a 2-out solo home run by Yunel Escobar, and then 1 more in the third inning, an inning that could have been better. You can't say that in watching Ricky Romero that he's really got the strike zone straightened out. He hasn't walked a man this afternoon, but still not honing in all the time on the strike zone.
The thing that I worry about is, we talked about it already today, about giving the bullpen, try to give them a little bit of a blow, so you've got to go minimum 7 innings this afternoon. Already he is in the 70s now in the 4th inning. That was pitch number 72, his first walk, and that doesn't bode well to getting through 7 innings.
It's just been amazing what's happened, and probably driving some people crazy with the Blue Jays. All the walks issued by this pitching staff on the season. There are your walk leaders individually. Kyle Drabek at the top of the list. A little bit surprised to see Yu Darvish. Runner goes early. The Blue Jays will pick him off. And 1-3-6 on that caught stealing of Jimmy Rollins.
That will help to get through. You walk them and then you don't even deliver a pitch. You get a pickoff. That'll certainly drive Charlie Manuel, the manager of the Phillies, crazy. Jimmy Rollins goes on the first move. Ricky Romero guesses correctly, and they get the out at second base.
Yunel didn't exactly get that glove down. Winds up reaching a little bit, and that forces the play to be maybe closer than you might want it. Placido Polanco 1 for 2 on the day. Make that a double in the first inning and scored a run. And a good one for a long time for Philadelphia. Second baseman and third baseman.
Gold Glove winner at third base, a Silver Slugger Award winner for the Phillies, now 36 years old, but can still play. 281, couple home runs, 12 RBIs. Doesn't strike out a lot. One of the tougher batters to strike out.
He'll foul off pitches, has a good idea of the strike zone. And he's hit for average throughout his career.
If he's going to strike him out, he's got to throw one of those dandy pitches.
Curveball, the bat started, but Polanco holds it back. Blue Jays start the day once again tied for most walks issued by a pitching staff, tied with the San Diego Padres, who are just 23 and 42 on the season. So that's not a club that you want to be tied with. Change got him swinging. That change in the dirt so tough to lay off. And Romero faces just 3 in the 4th inning thanks to the caught stealing of Jimmy Rollins. For the Blue Jays in the bottom of the inning, it'll be Edwin Encarnacion, followed by Kelly Johnson, and then Yunel Escobar. What a difference it makes if you're the Philadelphia Phillies and you don't have Roy Halladay available to pitch.
Went on the disabled list right at the end of May with a right latissimus dorsi strain, and since then the Phillies record has been strained at 6-11, 523 earned run average. Innings per start a little bit lower, and anytime you take your big horse out of your lineup, your stats are going to go down, and he's one of the best.
You think the work ethic has gone down at all while he's on the DL?
No. As long as he is healthy, he's going to come to the ballpark. He's going to get here before anybody else, and he's going to put in his work.
Does he ever? Edwin Encarnacion leads it off. Can't make contact on that slow curveball. Edwin struck out in the 2nd inning. So the Blue Jays have their cleanup man twice today now, leading off an inning. Edwin was at the plate when the Blue Jays had runners at 1st and 3rd with 2 down, a couple of strikes. Colby Rasmus took off early from first base. That forced Brett Laurie's hand at 3rd as he eventually was caught stealing. So talking about that work ethic of Roy Halladay, let's get a little work in before anybody gets to the yard.
Got to the ballpark today. I did at 9:30, and there he was out on the field. He was doing a lot of exercises, and then he started running the steps here at the Rogers Center. Look at that, all the way up to the top, all the way back down. He'll run rows of those, up and down and up and down and up and down, just to hit his exercise. Even though he's on the disabled list, he's keeping those legs strong.
Yeah, there's a reason, or there are multiple reasons, why a guy like this has been so good throughout his career.
I don't think I could do 10 of those steps.
Pitch is hammered to left center field and deep. Going back, Victorino. He's at the track where he makes the catch. Edwin has hit a number of balls well in this homestand and come up just shy on each one.
Probably the deepest part of the ballpark, from that 375 sign to the Stanley sign in left center field. And if you don't get it on a line out here, the wind tends to knock it down if you get it too deep into the gaps. And I think that's exactly what happened right there, to the gap in left center field. Hung up there long enough for Victorino to run it down.
That wind comes right back off of the shell and pushes back in toward home plate. Kelly Johnson, first pitch swinging, grounds 1 to 2nd. He'll be retired by Martinez, and 2 outs here in the 4th inning.
This is right where we were in the 2nd inning. Encarnacion led off, made an out. Kelly Johnson came up next, grounded out to the second baseman. And Escobar followed that ground out up with a home run.
So Yunel 1 for 1 on his afternoon. That home run is 4th of the season. 20 RBIs despite what some people may say. Yunel being aggressive as he tries to drive one. You could see on that pitch away trying to drive it down the right field side.
You have to stay on top of it, and that's not a bad game plan against Cliff Lee. He's got the highest percentage of first pitch strikes, so why wait around?
Well, he can bend that slow curveball in with the best of them.
He's a pitcher. I mean, he uses all the weapons that he has, and he can paint with it. He can throw it wherever he needs to.
Fastball hit on the ground, but that's going to find the hole up the middle. Base hit for Yunel Escobar. He's 2 for 2. 2-out single brings up Yan Gomes.
0-2, and he doesn't mess around. He tries to go right after him with that cup fastball in the inner half, but catches too much of the plate, and Escobar stays inside that ball and hits it hard back through the middle. Good start for Escobar.
Yeah, when we talk about Cliff Lee, it's just hard to believe that he's 0-3 in 10 starts this season with the numbers that you find as you look closer on him. Just 13 walks allowed in 70+ innings now, 74+ innings. He is a strike thrower. He does it with all pitches. He spots them very well.
Here's the big number for Cliff Lee. He's made 10 starts this year, and while he's in the game, the Phillies have only been able to score 20 runs. So you get 2 runs a game, awfully tough to win.
He also had a couple of games that he had small leads get away. That doesn't happen often. Ball hit in the gap into right center field, and this one is going to drop and scoot to the wall. One hop up and over, and that will leave the Blue Jays wanting. Because this ball bounces over the wall, Yunel Escobar, who had already gotten himself to home plate, has to turn around and head back to third. A double for Yan Gomes. Runners at second and third now for Arancibia.
Yeah, he would have scored if that ball could have stayed in the ballpark a little bit longer. Gomes goes down on that fastball and drives it into right field, and it bounces off the spongy turf and out of play. But Escobar with 2 outs, he's running on anything, and he is already past second base, halfway to third when that ball bounces out of the stadium. So he would have scored easily.
Arancibia 0 for 1, grounded out to Rollins at short in the 3rd inning.
Got to figure out a way to get on base here, because the secret weapon is on deck. The guy who has really hit Cliff Lee well in his career.
Bring Rajay to the plate. For Yan Gomes, his first double as a big leaguer. Pitch is hit in the air to left field, but easy for Mayberry. Staring up into the bright sky and makes the play, and that'll do it for the Blue Jays in the 4th inning. They get a pair of hits but leave the pair. And now it's time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Blackberry broadcast studio. July 10th in Kansas City. You can vote for your favorite Blue Jays players like Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion, Yunel Escobar, and Brett Lawrie. Cast your vote at BlueJays.com. Fans are allowed to vote a maximum of 25 times per email address. Vote early and vote often. Phillies lead it 4-2. 13 hits already on the ball game. Philadelphia with 7 of those 13. Hunter Pence has one himself. First inning RBI double, 39 ribbies now in the season for the Phil's right fielder. Romero brings a strike to start things. Can he continue to do so? That's 78 pitches for Ricky Romero. Through 4 innings, Cliff Lee has needed 31 less pitches than Romero.
That will certainly help him keep around the game a little bit longer.
Pitch is grounded to third. Lawrie is there. He'll take his time, get the feet set, and make the throw.
The all-new 2012 Honda CR-V. Yeah, it does that. Honda, the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
A lot of nice stuff in the Jays shop. A lot of nice stuff done in the career of Jim Thome as he stands in. 0 for 2 with a strikeout. One of the game's elite power hitters of all time. Fouls one off the left side.
So I had to go back and I had to find out who he hit his first home run against.
Yeah.
After 607. I know who he hit his last home run against.
Rube Waddell was the first one.
Close. Actually, his last home run was against Scott Diamond of Minnesota just the other day. His first home run.
Grounds one to the right side. Shift on. Kelly Johnson's there. And he'll throw out Thome.
His first home run was when he was a member of the Cleveland Indians, hit off of Steve Farr. Remember the Beast?
Yes.
Steve Farr used to pitch for, at the time, the New York Yankees. That's Jim Thome's first big league home run. Who knew that 606 more would follow?
How many of those 606 do you think he can actually remember?
The first one, for sure.
I'm sure the last one.
The last one.
Maybe each one this season.
You know who was really good at that? I was quizzing Reggie Jackson because I heard that he was real good at knowing all the milestone home runs that he had. And I said, okay, who's your first? And it was this guy on this type of pitch and this day, and we won the game. I said, okay, 200, 300, 400, 500. And he went through every one of them. And the only one I knew was his 500. He hit that off of Bud Black. And I said, what was your 500? It was a hanging curveball, 2-in-1 pitch. I hit it at Angel Stadium off of Bud Black.
Turning to bunt, dropping one left side and putting it foul is Shane Victorino. Ricky Romero in that spot again where he's gotten the first 2 outs in an inning. Done it twice previously today, and then the problems ensue.
Even up 4 runs after 2 were out. So can you do that to your home runs? I have
Number one, I don't have to deal with first, second, third, and so on hundreds. And so it should be much easier.
Me either.
But if we were talking by tens, no, I can't even come close. Yeah.
But you know your first home run, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Right now, I need to stop and think of his name. Pitch is hit in the air, shallow into right field. Jose Bautista's there. It's going to be a 1-2-3 frame first time on the afternoon for Ricky Romero. He needs just 8 pitches. So Ricky starting to get it tidied up a bit. Los Angeles. Read about it and the trials of the Kings and the other 15 teams as they pursue the dream of holding that Stanley Cup on newsstands now. Last year's Stanley Cup champions, the Chicago Blackhawks. Yeah, let's go back a couple of years on that one. Rajai Davis leads it off against Cliff Lee, turns to bunt, drops at third base side, a good one. Barehanded, the throw in the dirt and dug out. So for the Phillies, excellent defensive play between Polanco at third and Wigginton at first base as they get that first out of the inning. And Rajai Davis, one of those guys that the Blue Jays just hope he can get on base, steal a bag, get in scoring position, but plays like this will change that around.
Polanco has won a Gold Glove. Three-time Gold Glove winner, 2007, 9, and 11. He anticipates very quickly and throws accurately across the diamond, dug out nicely by Wigginton. Nice play to start the fifth inning.
So one quick out, one pitch. Brett Lawrie to the plate. He's 1 for 2 on his day. That one hit, a fortunate one against Cliff Lee. A little pop fly with a runner going from first base. That was Rajai Davis. Took the second baseman into that second base bag, and the pop fly down the right field side found a hole just beyond Ty Wigginton, the first baseman.
A little bit more of an aggressive approach the last couple of days from Brett Lawrie. First pitch in there, he is letting it go. It's for this year, the pitchers have been really mixing it up and throwing more breaking balls to him and making him fish for pitches. So when he does get a fastball, he's got to recognize it and be aggressive.
That big curveball finds its way right on through the strike zone. For Brett Lawrie, the batting average at .285. He starts flirting here and there with trying to get up over 290, maybe head toward 300. Brett Lawrie jerseys are always being made and being purchased here at the Rogers Center, and they just keep them pumping out.
Boy, you look from where we are down into the stands, and everywhere you look, you see Brett Lawrie jerseys. Very popular player.
Gets jammed and pops one again down the right field side into foul territory. It's Martinez who makes a tough catch right up against his shoulder and chin. That is a tough sun the guys are battling here this afternoon.
Yeah, the difference between this at bat and the one where he got the single, there wasn't a runner on to take off. Again, the only guy who can make that play when it's popped down in the no man's land down the right field line is that second baseman. He's got a great angle and with good speed runs it down.
Well, you could also see right there Ty Wigginton wanted no part of that one, and you always count on the second baseman down the right field side, the shortstop down the left side. Colby Rasmus takes a breaking ball outside. You get the sense that Rasmus is going to push that batting average upward, and he aids in that regard right here as he drills one into right field. Solid base hit for Colby. 2-out single, his second hit on the afternoon, brings up Bautista.
Lefties or righties, it's not mattering right now to Colby Rasmus. Right on top of the plate and just rips it into right field. That's why I think he is made for that number 2 spot in the batting order for the Blue Jays.
Front side doesn't give against the left-hander right there, and this stays on it. Jose Bautista twice has popped out. One of those coming in the third inning with men aboard, and that was costly. That was a key second out. Edwin then came to the plate, and the Blue Jays got caught stealing. Bautista takes a fastball right through the gut.
You know, Lee has pitched at the upper parts of the strike zone against Bautista to try and get him to go after that pitch, and he's popped up. Sometime if he stays up there, it's going to cost him.
Well, that last pitch was one Jose would normally like, and he drives one to left center, but misses getting it all. Mayberry's back there to make the play. Bautista flies to left, and that'll do it for the Blue Jays in the 5th inning. They get just the base hit by Rasmus as he's stranded, and Cliff Lee keeps on dealing. Series, the first 20,000 fans will receive a Blue Jays replica batting helmet. That's presented by TD. For your tickets, call 416-341-1234. You can go to BlueJays.com and do the same thing, as well as most Rogers Plus locations. A lot of fans having a great time, and it's a great crowd here on hand. 42,070 rooting for their Blue Jays. Blue Jays are going to bring in a number of the dads of the players for tomorrow's ball game.
We saw Brett Laurie's father yesterday in the stands, so he's already here in town.
(4-2), the Phillies lead it over the Blue Jays. On paper, a great matchup between Ricky Romero and Cliff Lee. Ty Wigginton 1 for 2 on his afternoon. Ricky Romero trying to continue the winning ways. Ricky comes in 7-1 despite a 4.15 ERA.
Much better inning last inning for Romero. A quick inning, got a couple of ground ball outs and an easy fly ball to right field. Finished off each one of those batters. Got ahead of each one of them, but then was able to finish them off by making good pitches.
Wigginton takes low. Wigginton has had some career success against Ricky. Now 6 for 18 on his career. A couple of doubles mixed in. Romero at 89 pitches. Likely gets him around that 100 mark here as he tries to finish off the 6th inning. A strikeout to start things, his 3rd of the afternoon.
Throwing up on that changeup to Wigginton, who is a very good fastball hitter. And again, you don't have to throw it in the strike zone. Get it close with 2 strikes. And that's exactly what it does to pick up that 3rd strikeout.
Just get it started where it looks like a strike. If it's a fastball, it looks like it's there. John Mayberry has had the big swing for the Phillies. That came in the 3rd inning as he's 1 for 2. He's hit the ball sharply twice, lining to center, and then in that 3rd inning, homering to left field, a 3-run home run. It all came with 2 outs against Romero. Chops one foul. Mayberry has not had the season that the Phillies hoped this year. Juan Pierre has really gotten the job done in left field for Philadelphia, but he is not that power guy that the Phillies need. with Ryan Howard down and Chase Utley as well. And still, Phillies don't know when those guys may be back. They need the guys that can drive the baseball.
We got a little bit of good news yesterday. Ryan Howard, playing for a New York Penn League team. Their New York Penn League team hit a couple of home runs. Chase Utley is on a rehab assignment. He's played a couple of games, but it doesn't sound like they're close to getting back.
There was talk back in the spring that maybe Chase Utley and that knee would be able to slip in and be ready for opening day, and I think everybody kind of listened to that and thought that's just not going to happen, and it hasn't been close.
Yeah, it's 2 years in a row also that Chase Utley has missed some time at the beginning of the season. Came back last year. I believe it was at the end of May that he came back, or June, and had a good year for Philadelphia.
Talking about the changeup of Ricky Romero, that circle change and how it floats away from the right-hand hitters. So Ricky dealing with a 3-2 count. And he is very shortly going to be at that 100 mark. He's going to bring number 97 now in this next offering. Here's a fly ball, little jam shot that flies out to left field. Rajay backs a few steps to make the play. 2 down here in the inning. Well, let me pose it to you, Pat. If Romero can be close, just over or under 100 pitches as he gets through 6 innings, do you run him out there for a 7th?
Yes. Yeah. Remember, he's had an extra day of rest because of the off day that the Blue Jays have had this week. He is working on his 6th day here.
And I think Ricky internally, as he hangs a curveball and hits Brian Schneider, it's just been the way things have gone for Ricky here this afternoon. Second hit batter each time Brian Schneider, and it brings up the 9-hitter.
Just can't get that curveball out in front and bend it out over the plate. It's a pitch that he's got to really have full extension on. Doesn't get that and hits his second batter of the afternoon.
So Schneider at first base, held on by Encarnacion. It brings up Michael Martinez, who takes a strike. Over the course of the season, it's been the Blue Jays bullpen that has had its problems. Here recently, they've been whittling away at the ERA for the group, and they were great yesterday. But you wonder if the Phillies had the notion, the game plan today, to come out against Romero, get him deep into the pitch count, get him out of the ball game, and maybe try to take advantage of the bullpen.
Well, I certainly think so.
Chopper will roll foul on the third base side.
You know, they look at it like we all do, that the Blue Jay pen in the 4 games this week has worked 24 innings. 6 innings in each game on an average, so they know that there's some weary arms down there that could use a break and use a blow. So why not try and go a little bit deeper, make things a little bit tougher on John Farrell as we get into later stages of this ball game.
John may be staring right there at that pitch count at 101 as we talk. Ground ball hit to third. Laurie comes on, makes that throw on the run, leaves it high and on by Encarnacion. And everybody's going to be safe. Runners at second and third. And there's that throw on the run by Brett Laurie that so often leaves me wondering, can he not set the feet and make sure to make a good throw?
Yeah, there are certain times where you throw on the run, and there are certain times where you don't throw on the run. A high chopper like this, you can set your feet and make an accurate throw. It's hard to throw on the run like that. You've got to aim the ball in a different spot. The ball's going to take off on you, and he will be charged with his 9th error of the season at third base. And really a ball that was an easy play.
It is. It falls in the routine category. Despite the fact that Laurie has to come on hard and make it, he still has the time, in my estimation, to get the feet in position and make a good, accurate throw.
Then there are times to throw on the run. So now Ricky's got to pick him up. He's got to pick up his third baseman here and leave those 2 runners stranded out there.
Talked about Robert Coelho being recalled to the ball club today. Big right-hander getting it loose. Leadoff man Jimmy Rollins at the plate. Initially, Brett Lawrie was playing back at third base, but at the last moment came sprinting up. Rollins, a guy that, if you play him back, probably willing to try to pick up a run with a bunt.
Yeah, even though there's 2 runners in scoring position, just get one of them in.
And Ricky misses up and away. So it's another one of those innings. Get the first 2 hitters, Wigginton and Mayberry, and then hit Brian Schneider with the curveball. Brett Lawrie doesn't help out in the cause as he throws one away. And now Ricky Romero with pitch number 105. And it's already a tough enough assignment for the Blue Jays, trailing 4-2 with Cliff Lee on the hill for Philadelphia. Pitching well.
Why it's imperative that they keep these runs from scoring right here. And you know, if you're Brett Lawrie, you want that next one. You want that next ground ball to make up for that last error.
Yeah, I've watched Brett Lawrie make many a throw on the run this year, and they are really good. But a lot of the times I wonder, was that necessary? Can you become that infielder who makes the sure play by getting the feet in position? Aaron Sebia has turned his blocking game around enormously this year. Pitches in the dirt off speed. And that pitch from Ricky, you see the glove stay down, and that's a big key for Aaron Sebia or any catcher. Pitch is popped up. And this is going to get Romero out of this 6th inning without any damage, other than the number of pitches thrown. Ricky Romero at 108, and no doubt hoping he can go for one more inning. As the Blue Jays come to the plate in the 6th, Edwin Encarnacion, Kelly Johnson, and Yunel Escobar. Coming up here on Sportsnet later on today. Colorado at Detroit right here on Sportsnet. Then it's the Red Sox and Cubs later on this evening. That's on East and Ontario, as well as Miami at Tampa Bay, as they have that rivalry in the state of Florida. That on West and Pacific.
I want to check out that Boston Cubs game. That's John Lester and Jeff Smarja from Wrigley Field at 7 o'clock tonight.
Well, the Blue Jays have work to do. Cliff Lee now at 57 pitches, so he's free and clear in terms of that pitch count, you would think, for the rest of the afternoon. Encarnacion has struck out and flied out.
You know, he just doesn't throw so many balls that you can go up there and say, I'm going to take this. And I'm going to work the count, because the next thing you know, you're 0-2 against Cliff Lee. Throws so many quality strikes throughout the course of a ball game.
Well, it's much like Roy Halladay. The two guys are not that dissimilar. Now, Halladay can throw harder, creates more ground balls, but in that endeavor to throw early strikes and stay there with tough pitches in the strike zone, each guy has a way of getting through games with the minimum number of pitches. Fastball right there at the knees. Edwin caught looking. Second time he goes down on strikes. Talk National League East. You're talking about a tough division the Phillies find themselves in, and they've won it 5 straight years, but things have turned around this year.
Well, look at that. Did you see the Nationals coming out of the gate the way they have? We know the Braves, they've been good for a long time. Mets 5 games over 500. Go figure that. So it's topsy-turvy right now in the the National League East.
I know Davey Johnson, the skipper of the Nationals, back in spring training, said, look, if we don't win it this year, I don't deserve to be the manager next year. It's starting to look like he's got a chance of being the manager next year.
They just got finished with the series here at Rogers Center, and I know you and I were both very impressed with that Washington Nationals team. They've got a little bit of everything: pitching and defense and speed and power and relief.
Yeah, they combine well, and Kelly Johnson lines one into right field. Solid base hit, his first of the afternoon. That'll bring up Yunel Escobar, who is 2 for 2.
You will get a pitch to hit at some point, so you just can't miss it against Cliff Lee. That time over the middle of the plate, and Kelly Johnson doesn't miss it. Rips it into right field for his first hit.
I was thinking of Fernando Valenzuela back years ago and how tough he could be, and he couldn't overpower you, but how he overpowered was by, of course, that was a different era where corners were a little bit larger, in fact a lot larger at times, but he'd nip the outside black on the first pitch. It would be a strike. He'd move off about 2 more inches on the next one side or the other, and then he'd go a little further on the next one, and you'd go back to the dugout with that feeling of, I never had a chance. I never saw a pitch on the wide of the plate.
Nothing in the middle. Just stayed out of the middle. Valenzuela was like that. Tommy Glavine and Greg Maddux were both like that.
Maddux just painted all day long. Escobar grounds one foul.
Would you rather have the big flamethrowers or the guys like we were just talking about, guys who can really pitch?
You mean you're talking about as a hitter, a guy that you're going to go after today?
If you were the manager.
Well, on your side.
Yeah. Would you rather have the Cliff Lees or would you rather have the Steven Strasburgs?
Well, there aren't many Steven Strasburgs.
Okay,
so if I have a chance to
one.
narrow that one down, I might take Steven Strasburg, but
okay, that wasn't a good one. A guy who throws hard, but he doesn't have the type of command that Cliff Lee has.
Well, I'll take the Cliff Lee, and there aren't many of those either. But I mean, I do put Halladay in that same kind of category, even though they are different in some ways. But I'll take that guy that has mastered pitching.
All right, I got one for you. Josh Johnson from Miami. We're going to be down there next week. Josh Johnson or Cliff Lee?
You going to make Johnson healthy for me?
Well, that's because he throws hard. You've got to figure that he might get hurt.
Well, there was a time, if you asked me a year and a half ago about Josh Johnson, I might have said maybe one of the game's elite pitchers.
Yep. Injuries
have stepped in.
Yep.
Cliff Lee, I don't know how long he wants to go. I really don't know. But if you talk Lee and Halladay again in that kind of category, I'll take those guys all day long.
Yeah, the guys who just pump strike after strike in there. The only injuries that Cliff Lee has had is those oblique injuries on his side. There's never been anything wrong with his arm. He's got a nice loose arm and a great delivery.
So which way would you go?
I would tend to think to have the guy who doesn't get hurt, who knows how to pitch. You know, the Glavins and the Maddux and the Cliff Lees and guys like that, as opposed to those big hard throwers who can dominate you, but they're susceptible to injury.
How do you spot those guys early in their careers?
I think pitchability with an arm action has a lot to do with it. Delivery, very clean delivery. I can spot him easily. he's right out on the mound right now.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, you're that good, huh? There's a line shot. Escobar's been kind of good here this afternoon. His third hit against Cliff Lee. Runners at first and second now for Yan Gomes.
The all-new 2012 Honda CR-V. Yeah, it does that. Honda, the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
I'd take that day out on the boat myself. Kind of nice. That'd be a nice way to finish up the afternoon, wouldn't it? Yan Gomes would like to have a big swing here against Cliff Lee. He's 1 for 2 with a double. That double in the fourth inning is first in the big leagues. Blue Jays have now out-hit the Phillies 9-7, but they trail it 4-2.
They have left 4 batters on already again tonight. Today, still looking for that big base hit.
And now Brian Schneider's going to go out to the mound. Yan Gomes is one of those hitters that the Phillies may feel they don't have a whole lot in terms of scouting report against, and so you might want to chat things over with your left-hander.
He took a fastball down and away from him and doubled to right center field. Should have been a run for the Blue Jays when the ball bounced out of the ballpark. So Lee's going to take that information and possibly throw some off-speed pitches to him.
Curveball grounded to short, could be 2. Rollins, Martinez, and back to Wigginton, and the Phillies get a big double play behind Cliff Lee. And that does it for the Blue Jays as they pick up a couple of hits but can't get on the board. It's 4-2. Phil's on top. Last just 6 innings this afternoon.
7 hits, 4 earned runs, a walk and 3 strikeouts. Big blow to John Mayberry 3-run home run in the 3rd inning. But from that time, he had only allowed a couple more base runners. Hit by a pitch, a walk, and an error, and that was it. But that'll run your pitch count up, and after 108 pitches, John Farrell takes him out and goes to Robert Coelho, who was just called up. These are his numbers while he was in AAA Las Vegas. 4-1 with a 3 earned run average. Throws hard, about 94 miles an hour. He's got a slider, a little bit of a split change. And that allows him to have that high strikeouts to walk ratio for Coelho. Gets a lot of ground ball outs also.
Big guy physically. He'll work it to the 2, 3, 4 hitters for Philadelphia. Placido Blanco leads it off, 1 for 3 on the day. Had a double back in the 1st inning and scored the Phillies' first run. But Cliff Lee got that double play right at a time when it looked like the Blue Jays might have a way to get back in.
He went out there interesting and said, let's go with the ground ball. If we're going to get it, let's get it off the curveball. That's just pitchability, being able to make adjustments, thinking your way through.
Mentioned that Lee, for the first time in his career this year, picking up a few more balls hit on the ground than balls in the air. Very rare for a guy who has, for a long career, given it up in the air. Ball hit back to the mound off the glove and body of Coelho, and that's going to be an infield single for Polanco, his second hit of the afternoon. A ball hit right back to the glove side of Coelho.
And he just can't pick it off. 0-2, breaking ball right to him, and it comes off that turf and really handcuffs him. And by that time, right there in the middle between Johnson and the pitching of Coelho. So infield single and a good start by the Phils here in the 7th.
Brings up 3-hitter Hunter Pence, who's 1 for 3, and that one paid off, a double driving in a run in the first inning. Since then, he's twice grounded out to Brett Lawrie at third base. Lawrie has committed the game's only error as the first pitch here is popped up shallow into right field. Bautista calling off Johnson will make the play, and out number 1. Mentioned the crowd this afternoon, 42,070 on hand. Really nice to see here at the Rogers Center. Blue Jays trying to make it 2 straight over the Phillies. Phillies have lost 10 of 13 coming in, despite the fact that before yesterday's game they had beaten the Twins twice straight. But it's been a tough go of late. Jim Thome 0 for 3. What a cut sailing fastball that finds the outside edge. Eight hits for Philadelphia, 9 for the Blue Jays. Swing and a miss by Thome on a pitch left up. That shift on has Brett Lawrie playing shallowed up into the infield now as they try to get the double play defensively. But 3 defensive players on the right side for Toronto. Only Yunel Escobar on that left side. And if Thome has the ability to just put it on the ground to the third base side, he's got himself a base hit.
Yeah, it may be a double if he can inside out the ball down the left field line.
Right on the outside corner, Coelho with a couple of pitches just like that, and last instant little cut right back to the corner.
It helps him to get that strikeout per 9 ratio that we were showing you when he was warming up right on the outside corner. Good job by Eric Seavey to frame it for him. First strikeout of the afternoon for Coelho.
4th of the afternoon for the Blue Jays as Ricky Romero just had 3 on his day, and now the 5-hitter Shane Victorino stands in 1 for 3. It's a good arm possessed by Robert Coelho.
Yeah, he's loose now. 94 miles an hour there.
Cheddar up in the zone. And this one is popped up. Kelly Johnson battling the sun out in shallow right field, and now called off by Escobar, who has the angle with the eyes looking away from the sun, and a much easier play. So the Phillies go down in the 7th. The Blue Jays try to get something going now in the bottom of the frame. Albert Pujols and the Angels come to town. Special kids prize tickets in the 200 and 500 levels outfield seats. After the game, kids 14 and under can run the bases just like the pros. For tickets, call 416-341-1234, or you can go online to BlueJays.com. Also check in at most Rogers Plus locations. Blue Jays down a pair, 4-2 Philadelphia, as J.P. Arencibia 0 for 2 on the afternoon leads it off. Look at this great day in the Toronto area, and a terrific crowd on hand. We mentioned over 42,000 here at the Rogers Center, and how they would love to see the Blue Jays rally. Cliff Lee has struck out just 3, and we mentioned also that he coming into play today striking out more than a man an inning. Curveball hit in the air to center, shallow. Coming on, Victorino makes the play. And now time for an update with Jamie Campbell. That's the way. Get those Brewers hot before the Blue Jays head in there.
No, don't. We will head there after tomorrow's game to face the Brewers on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Ryan Braun's come back with another solid season after winning the MVP award last year, and then question marks that followed. Rajai Davis 1 for 2 with a base hit, scored a run after stealing third base in the 3rd inning.
Robbed of a hit by Polanco, the third baseman, on a bunt attempt a couple innings ago.
Rajai hitting .262. It's dance time here at Rogers Center. It is a beautiful sight. Ball just inside, and that's exactly where Brian Schneider, the catcher, wanted it. Count evens at 2-2 on Rajai Davis. Brett Lawrie waits on deck. Cliff Lee making a serious bid to win his first game of the season, his 11th start. Brett Lawrie and company trying to come up with some way to keep that from happening.
Wow, what a pitch on the inner half by Lee.
It's one of the things about guys like this, and we were talking about the Cliff Lees and Roy Halladay's. They can put it right on that inside corner, then go right back out to the outside corner, and as a hitter you better be willing to swing and try to foul one off defensively.
And just hope that he leaks one out over the plate. You just can't fall into a pattern with Cliff Lee. He might pitch you one way one time up, and then the next time up pitch you totally different.
Line drive and a leaping grab at second by Martinez. So Rajai Davis with a bid for another hit here this afternoon finds himself dropped. Martinez crossing over to his left and making a fine quick reaction play.
You know, you can't guide it out there. All you can do is hit the ball hard and hope that that fielder is not standing there like Martinez was. He takes away a base hit from Rajai Davis. Good defense by the Phillies this afternoon to take away 2 hits away from Rajai Davis.
Don't often see a guy on a line drive go up with 2 hands. Shortens your reach a bit. Brett Lawrie 1 for 3, grounds one up the middle, so he's 2 for 4 with that base hit.
And what I like about that is he's not waiting around. He is not in between. The first pitch that Cliff Lee throws in for a strike, and you can see him bearing down against Cliff Lee. First one he throws in there, he's ready to swing the bat.
Pitch left up, and Cliff Lee may be fortunate that it was only a single. And now the Blue Jays find themselves in that spot again. Do you run? Do you try to make something happy? It has not, or happen rather, it hasn't paid off well for the Blue Jays again here this afternoon. Brett Lawrie, part of a double steal effort by the Blue Jays in the third inning, eventually caught coming toward the plate.
Not yet is what I would say. You know, I would see what the Blue Jays do as they get into this count. If they get ahead in the count, 2-0 maybe, 3-1 maybe, then you can start the runner.
When they started those runners in the third inning, and it was really Rasmus who started from first base, it was 2 strikes with 2 outs on Edwin Encarnacion. But I still wonder, did the Blue Jays put something on strategically?
They might have, but you've got the big RBI guy at the plate. Maybe they were thinking about stealing a run against the left-hander.
Colby Rasmus 2 for 3 against the left-hander Lee. Drove in a run in the third inning with a base hit. So he's not been bothered at all by that southpaw on the hill. Pitch grounded back to the mound, and Lee is a good defensive player as well. He'll make the play on to first, and that'll do it for the Blue Jays in the 7th inning. Cliff Lee having his way here at the Rogers Center this afternoon with his Phillies leading over the Blue Jays. Seeds, give it a crack. Spits are the official sunflower seeds of the Toronto Blue Jays. Escobar has had himself quite a day offensively. 3 for 3, including his 4th home run of the year. And that was the Blue Jays' first run coming back in the 2nd inning, tied the game at the time.
He's had a good approach this afternoon. He is standing up a little bit taller. He is not trying to crush the ball, just taking a good pass and a good swing. And he's been perfect. 3 for 3.
Against one of the game's really tough pitchers. So now the bullpen with Robert Coelho on for a 2nd inning, trying to keep it right here. Coelho shut down the Phillies in the 7th inning after yielding a leadoff hit to Placido Polanco. Coelho struck out a man. Ty Wigginton leads it off 1 for 3 on his day. A little fastball has a little dart to the left from Coelho. Nice looking tiny cutter.
Yeah, and it's late. Late break from Coelho. That's going to be tough on right-handers.
There's more of a slider that finds the inside corner. Small break.
An almost 10 miles per hour difference. Trying to upset the timing of the hitter. Now you can go back with that hard cutter down and away.
This ball just sails up and in. Phillies got a run in the 1st inning. RBI double by Hunter Pence. They picked up their other 3 runs, all with 2 outs in the 3rd inning. All thanks to the 3-run home run by John Mayberry Jr., his 4th long ball of the season. There's that little cut. You can see it right at the end as he strikes out Wigginton. Now time for an update once again with Jamie. Well, the Yankees are playing great baseball right now and have taken over first place in the American League East by a game and a half at the start of play today over the second place Orioles.
9 out of 10 the Yankees have won, including at 7 in a row. And they're winning on the road.
Robert Coelho's stuff looks good here.
Yeah. Pretty impressive. After the infield single by Polanco, 4 in a row, a couple of strikeouts included in those 4.
And that infield single you mentioned, really a ball that I think Coelho would tell you he needs to catch. Hit right back to his left side, right near the glove. But this comes at a time when the Blue Jays need some help pitching wise.
Was able to go multiple innings, and that's why they brought him up here to give the bullpen a little bit of a depth.
Oh, that fastball blown right on by Mayberry. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and description of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. 3 strikeouts already for Robert Coelho. And he starts with a strike to Brian Schneider, who has been kind of a pinball machine here this afternoon.
Now a hit on the shirt by Romero in the second inning. They got a hit by Ricky again on a curveball in the 5th. Made it all the way around to third base, but has not scored this afternoon.
Well, it's clear with the Blue Jays at this point losing 3 of their 5 starters. They've got to get some help. And whether it's guys coming up to slot in as starters in the rotations or guys like Carlos Villanueva moving from the bullpen and into the starting rotation, you've got to be able to fill some spots, and Coelho making a bid here to maybe find his way onto this staff.
Yeah, if they decide to bring somebody out of the bullpen like a Villanueva, there's a guy who can take his place, and they'll have some decisions to make. Brett Cecil is supposed to throw tomorrow, and Henderson Alvarez on Monday in Milwaukee, and then they'll need another starter.
Pitch is drilled but foul down the right side. 3-2 the count on Schneider. Mention again that the ladies' food drive is going on right now outside the ballpark. And if you have a chance to come on down and donate, whether it be cash or food items, they would love to see you. Crowd getting behind Robert Coelho. Schneider spoils as he fouls it back.
Showing a little bit better fastball this afternoon. Coelho, his second time through. He was recalled again today. He had his first stint with Toronto earlier. Showing a little bit better fastball. I've seen a 95 up on the scoreboard from him already.
He's 27 years of age and leaves one high, so a 2-out walk to Schneider. And the 3rd time he's reached this afternoon, hit by a pitch a couple of times. And that has helped the Phillies bring their 9-hitter Michael Martinez to the plate. In each case, he's reached twice, once on the throwing error by Brett Lawrie. It did not lead to a run. 4-2 Philadelphia here in the 8th inning. Coelho's been around a bit. He's originally drafted by the Cincinnati Reds, 20th rounder back in 2004. One of those guys that maybe surprises you.
He has also spent some time in the Angels organization, the Red Sox, the Cubs, and now the Blue Jays.
A couple of fastballs that get away, up and away. One thing to throw hard, another to get it placed nicely in the strike zone. Coelho suddenly running into that dilemma. Finds the top of the strike zone. Blue Jays with 10 hits on this gorgeous afternoon. The Phillies 8. So they get that one big 3-run home run swing out of John Mayberry. Another strike, this one on the outside corner.
I've been impressed with that little cut fastball.
Yeah.
Did you see that from him the last time he was here?
I don't recall, and I may have seen it a time or two, but you see that little dart right at the last moment?
Right at the last few feet.
You see it again, a little more subtle right there as contact was made, but with the glove of Arancibia, as he catches it, you could see it coming back to Arancibia's right.
And that should keep it off the barrel of the bat. And if you've got the ability to really place that where you want to, you can break a lot of bats also. Throw it on the inside corner to the lefties, and they start to swing and just shatter their bat.
Arancibia is calling it a fastball, and that one didn't have the little cut, might have gotten away. So now that 3-2 count like we saw on Schneider. Runner on the move from first base as Edwin will play behind Schneider. There goes the runner. Fastball up and away. A second straight walk now issued by Coelho. Arancibia goes out to the mound. John Farrell has the chat with the bullpen. That's just 3 walks on the afternoon issued by the Blue Jays. And again, we mentioned that the Blue Jays start the day tied for worst in terms of walks issued. Left-hander Luis Perez now gets it loose. And the thing about, you look at that walks column, 4 ball clubs. Blue Jays are tied with the San Diego Padres. 23 and 42 is what the Pods are. First pitch is a strike here to Jimmy Rollins. But the teams that are at the bottom of the heap in terms of issuing walks, there's the Blue Jays. They're playing 500. They have to be fortunate in doing so because they're right there with the Padres, Cubs, and Rockies.
Some of the worst records in baseball.
Fly ball to right field. That's going to drive Bautista back. It's over his head and one hop up and out of here. So with 2 outs, Schneider and Martinez draw walks. Jimmy Rollins hits one over the head of Jose Bautista, and the Phillies extend their lead to 5-2.
Something to be said for 2-out rallies. Phillies have done it all afternoon. That pitch on the inner half, it cuts at about thigh high, and Jimmy Rollins might be 5'8", but he's got some pop in that bat. Sends it over the head of Bautista in right field. And every inning that they have scored, they have started a rally with a couple of outs.
Placido Polanco has a couple of hits. He'll hit one in the air to left field. This should be easy for Davis. He'll make the catch, and that will do it for the Phillies in the 8th inning. But they pick up another run after a couple of walks and a double with 2 outs. That's Saturday, July 14th. Blue Jays hosting the Cleveland Indians at 107 game time. Your $100 event ticket includes a 100 level outfield ticket to the game. Visit BlueJays.com/campout for your information. And the Blue Jays and their fans looking for a rally here in this 8th inning, now trailing 5-2 after the Phillies pick up another with 2 outs in the 8th inning. Cliff Lee spotted to a rare lead on this 2012 season. He'll start things with Jose Bautista. Jose 0 for 3 on the day, takes one just up out of the strike zone. Bautista, Encarnacion, and Kelly Johnson here in the 8th inning. Out in front on the changeup.
Jays hoping for repeat of history, if you will. Last time they saw Cliff Lee in this ballpark last season in July, he gave up 3 home runs in the 8th inning to the Blue Jays. Bautista was one of them who got him.
Eric Thames and Edwin Encarnacion, the other 2, I believe.
Yep. And they ended up beating Cliff Lee.
Well, Edwin's got a shot at trying to repeat that. Fastball sails up and away. 3-1 the count. And now that hitting count for Jose Bautista.
Lee has stayed up there all afternoon against Bautista. Got a couple of pop-ups and then a long fly ball to left field. See if he stays up there again and challenges him.
Up a little bit more as he walks the leadoff man. Tale of 2 seasons for Jose Bautista this year.
5 home runs in his first 32. What did he do in his next 32? More like Jose Bautista. 14 home runs and an on-base plus slugging of 1.078. He's more comfortable at the plate. He is going to get some more opportunities to drive in runs because he's got Encarnacion hitting behind him.
Edwin lines one into left center field. That's in for a hit. Mayberry will get it back in, but not before Bautista digs for third, and the throw into second base is thrown errantly. Bautista will score. Edwin will be held at third base, and now coming. Edwin to the plate. He's in there. And the Blue Jays pick up a pair here in the 8th inning on what likely will be a double by Encarnacion. And then the circus ensued for the Phillies defensively.
There will probably be an error charged to Jimmy Rollins, who leads all National League shortstops in fielding percentage, so he doesn't make many mistakes very often, but this is a costly one for the Phillies. They have given up now 27 unearned runs this year in 67 games. They allowed 34 all of last year. When he tries to cut the ball off and get Encarnacion at second base, throws it away, and now there's nobody back there. Nobody backing him up, and Encarnacion can circle the bases.
Ron Butterfield was initially saying hold. You're going to stop at third base to Edwin, and then he realized there was one more bobble, and it was time to bring it. On that play, if Jimmy Rollins had made a good throw into second base, do the Phillies get Edwin? It looked like they might have had a shot.
He's been the best fielding shortstop in the National League this year, so again, you don't see too many errors from Rollins. But that one's a costly one. And with nobody backing up the throw at second base after he cut it off, Encarnacion can come all the way around to score.
And now how big is that run picked up by the Phillies in the top of this 8th inning? Again with 2 outs. Kelly Johnson gets jammed, loops one into center. It's going to drop in for a base hit. So still nobody out as Kelly Johnson has his second hit against Cliff Lee. Let's take a look at that play. As Charlie Manuel comes out, he'll head to the mound with Cliff Lee likely facing the end of his day. Edwin Encarnacion's double.
The throw at Hunter Pence is that's where the guys should be backing up. The right fielder Pence should be backing up that throw to second base. But then when it gets away from Martinez at second, out of the no man's land, here comes Edwin, and he's going to make it really easily before the ball gets back in. 2 big runs couple of unearned runs, and a play that's going to help knock out Cliff Lee in this ball game. So the 8th inning was tough on Lee last year. It's tough on him again this year.
And Cliff Lee doesn't find a way to get an out in the 8th inning as right-hander Chad Qualls now comes on. Time for the smart play of the game, brought to you by Budweiser. Why not grab some buds? Please enjoy responsibly.
You're down by a couple of runs. You've got to get yourself into scoring position. Encarnacion hits a bullet into left field. He's going to come hard. He's going to stretch that single into a double, make them throw you out. And when they throw the ball away, here comes Encarnacion. The smart play the afternoon. Be aggressive on the bases, and good things will happen for you as the Blue Jays now get within 1 run in the 8th inning.
Blue Jays picked up 12 hits against Cliff Lee. Edwin has a big one here in the 8th inning. But 12 hits against Lee, that has not been done a lot, you would certainly think, as he came in with a batting average against of .237.
Season high against Cliff Lee. Boston Red Sox got him for 9, which was his season high. This is Chad Qualls, the veteran. Just signed at the end of January this year. This is his 8th year in the big leagues. Qualls has become the bridge between the starters and Jonathan Papelbon at the end. He's been around. He cuts his fastball. He's got a little bit of a breaking ball.
Guy that, while in Houston, while I was down there, came up with a real nice sinker, and he created a lot of ground balls. We're in the 8th inning, a 1-run ball game. Nobody out with Kelly Johnson aboard. Yunel Escobar 3 for 3 on his day, and one of those a home run. As Chad Qualls lobs over to first base. With the 3 hits, Escobar has the batting average up to .252. Turns to bunt and drops it foul at the plate. Now let me ask you, do you think this came from John Farrell, or do you think this was Yunel Escobar's notion of the way to play this here in the 8th inning?
Well, I think if they're going to give him the sacrifice bunt, they'll give it to him earlier in the count. David Cooper is on deck. It's not a bad idea to try to get that tying run to the plate, since you get the last crack being the home team. But that one might have come from Escobar.
That would be my guess as well. A 1-2 count on Yunel. He loops one out behind second base. Right there is the second baseman Martinez, who drops it, but the out is recorded on the fly ball.
That almost backfired on the Blue Jays. Escobar did not run out of the box, and if Martinez had fought a little bit quicker, wasn't really hit high enough for him. And here's Escobar just standing right around the dirt area. Martinez is thinking about it, drops it, right there, but you could see it was in his glove. If he could have backed off like we saw Vizquel do down in Texas, that would have been a double play. Heads up play right there by Martinez.
And not heads up by Yunel Escobar. You cannot allow that to happen. That was genuinely a possibility for the double play. David Cooper stands in as a pinch hitter, goes through as he tries to check his swing. 0-1 the count. The 12 hits allowed by Cliff Lee ties a career high. Also did it back in 2009, May 3rd of 2009 at Detroit in a 3-1 loss. 3-1, that's a pretty close ball game for 12 hits allowed.
12 hits.
Yeah. There's a bouncer over first base and down the line. Kelly Johnson will dig for third as the throw comes back in. Pinch hit single for David Cooper, and the Blue Jays are in business here in the 8th inning.
Blue Jays have some bats on that bench now that can come off and give you a little something. This is only going to be the 5th hit of the season by a Blue Jay pinch hitter, but the 4th in the last 10 days. Right down the line over the head of Wigington. Beats it right into the dirt, and there's that sinker you were talking about from Qualls, but it backfires on it.
And now with 1 out, and a very fortunate 1-out scenario for the Blue Jays. We talked about the Escobar little looper in the infield. First and third for JP Arancibia. And now for JP, you don't want to put one on the ground. He hits one sharply, a fair ball down the left field line. That'll score Johnson to tie it. Here comes Cooper into third base. Make that a double for Arancibia. That's Mike McCoy, the pinch runner who took over for Cooper. And now the Blue Jays have caught the Phillies. Cliff Lee once again will come up empty in that bid to pick up a win. And the Blue Jays try to jump ahead right here and maybe snatch one right out of the jaws of the Phillies.
Why wait around? You got a sinker ball pitcher. You know that's when he's going to throw your first pitch, and Arancibia is waiting for it. Rips it right between the third baseman and the bag, down into the corner for his 32nd RBI. The Blue Jays tie it. And now second and third, just 1 out. Infield has to come in on the Phillies. Rajai Davis has a chance. He has swung the bat beautifully this afternoon. He's been robbed a couple of times.
Rajai 1 for 3, loops one into left field. Coming on is Mayberry. He's there to make the catch. And Mike McCoy, even with his speed, cannot score on this little looping fly ball. So 2 down now for the Blue Jays in a 5-5 tie here in the 8th inning. And back to the top with Brett Lawrie. What a time for a base hit now for Brett Lawrie. Now that hurts. When you've got that man at third base, 1 out, and a chance to take the lead here in the 8th inning.
Only if Mayberry could have gone left or right, they would have had a chance to send that runner, but because he was coming straight in, you can't run into an out.
Qualls from the stretch. This is down and away. Brett Lawrie on the afternoon. 2 for 4. A couple of singles. Batting average at .286. And with runners in scoring position, been a strong season for Brett. Good slider. Evens the count at 1-1. Should be easy for Mayberry in left center field, and that's going to do it for the Blue Jays as they come back with 3 big runs, but let a further opportunity get away. We go to the 9th inning, all tied at 5. Another frustrating day for Cliff Lee as he had a chance to win his first on the season. It gets away.
Yeah, it certainly does as he gets into the 8th inning. The leadoff walk to Bautista certainly didn't help, and then the error by the shortstop against Cliff Lee. But all in all, a good afternoon. He was mowing them down in the early parts of the game. He was on line for it, but then the bullpen coughed it up. So it'll be up to the two bullpens going after it. Casey Janssen comes in. He was warming up in case the Blue Jays took the lead. So you've got to bring him in, and there are his numbers.
It started with the 3-hitter, Hunter Pence, followed by Jim Thome and Shane Victorino here in this 9th inning. That's a great comeback in the 8th inning for the Blue Jays, picking up 3 runs. They were certainly aided by that throwing error on a play that may have seen Edwin Encarnacion, rather than coming up with a double, picking up a single and getting thrown out at second base in a very costly style.
And that ends up scoring. They wouldn't stop there. A single, another single by Cooper, and then the double by Aaron Sevilla had it set up.
Had the Blue Jays with runners at second and third and 1 out. Infield drawn in for Rajai Davis. He flied out to shallow left field. Brett Lawrie flied out into left center, and that was it. Jays have out hit the Phillies 14-9, 1 error for each club. Fastball is way high. Casey Janssen has not flinched once this year since being given that closer's job. It was not handed to him by any stretch of the imagination. He's earned it with the way he's pitched. But Sergio Santos certainly was the guy who was supposed to take that role and run this year. Injuries step in.
He was hurt at the beginning of the season, and we haven't seen him since April. Francisco Cordero was next in line. Good pitch there.
On the inside edge from Janssen as he gets his first out. Hunter Pence now 1 for 5 on the day.
And that's what Casey Janssen can do. He can move that fastball around the plate. He can cut it if he wants to. He can also freeze you with it on the inside part of the plate. About 94 miles an hour for Janssen. And wanting to move his curveball into his repertoire just a little bit more. Use that a little bit more to get the batters off of his hard stuff.
That shift on once again for Jim Thome as he taps one on the left side, but Casey Janssen can make the play. And 2 quick outs here in the 9th. That'll bring up Shane Victorino, the center fielder, is 1 for 4 on his day. Had a 3rd inning single and scored the 2nd run for the Phillies. Another one of those scenarios where the Phillies, with 2 outs, started a rally, led to 3 runs, polished off with John Mayberry's 4th home run of the year, a 3-run job to left field. All 5 Philadelphia runs coming with 2 outs.
And you got to respect that type of speed from Victorino. He can lay a ball down and get something started.
Have to retract. That first run came with 1 out in the 1st inning against Romero. The other 4 coming with 2 outs.
Yeah, the last 4 with 2 outs.
That's well spotted and no call. Very well spotted by Casey Janssen. Again, right in that same spot, Casey comes after it.
Boy, he cuts that fastball right on the inner half like that, making it tough for left-handers to get the barrel of the bat out where you want to try and pull it.
Does that ball bite inward on the left-hand hitter? A little smaller version maybe than that of Mariano Rivera. He's done it rather effectively for a tremendous career.
Just eats up left-handers when you can throw it like that on the inner half.
Crowd has come alive here at the Rogers Center 42,000 plus. They'll watch Brett Lawrie as it's close at first base, but Casey Janssen has a 1-2-3 ninth inning. So we go to the bottom of the ninth. Colby Rasmus leads it off, followed by Jose Bautista, and then cleanup man Edwin Encarnacion. On this beautiful day, the Blue Jays have found a way to come back and tie the Phillies at 5. We go to the bottom of the ninth inning. 2-3-4 coming up for the Blue Jays against third pitch of the afternoon for Philadelphia, right-hander Michael Schwimmer.
And he was in the ball game last night. Blue Jays saw him and pitched an inning, picked up Vance Worley, gave up a double, and then a couple of strikeouts. Again, he's 6'8". He's got a fastball. It's very lively, about 93 miles an hour. A late life to a slider and a split finger fastball. This is where he pitched in last night's game. The first batter he faced was Brett Lawrie, but then he got Rasmus and Bautista, and he'll get a chance again this afternoon.
So you would think a golden opportunity for the Blue Jays, all set up with 2-3-4 coming up here in the inning. Close pitch from Schwimmer, called a ball. So Casey Janssen appear to make a very good pitch, called a ball. Paul Schreiber behind the plate. Rasmus offers it one left up in the strike zone, the changeup. Blue Jays have picked up 15 come from behind wins on the season. That's coming from behind at any time over the course of the game. John Farrell says now's the time. Breaking ball fouled back, and that was a pretty good pitch for Colby to hack on.
And young player, just in his first year, so Blue Jays haven't seen some of these relievers that the Phillies have. They're very young in the bullpen.
Talk about young. Colby Rasmus still just 25 years of age, but really beginning, it would appear anyway, to be blossoming into that player the Blue Jays felt like they were getting when they made the deal last year.
Certainly. Combination of some power, some speed.
Rasmus, a former #1 pick of the Cardinals. Pitch is close, but a good eye has the count filled.
A couple of strikeout pitches that Schwimmer has. Again, the slider, he's got a split. He has walked 7 and struck out 8 in his 12 1/3 innings this year.
Sometimes that hanger will pick up a strikeout, and that's what happens with Colby Rasmus.
They wanted to go inside. He actually missed his spot. And he foul tips it into the glove with Ryan Schneider. First out.
14 hits for the Blue Jays on the afternoon. The only starter without a hit, Jose Bautista, 0 for 3 with a walk. Oh, that pitch. Right in that top of the strike zone area, called a ball. It looks like the strike zone is tightened up here late in the ballgame. Bautista walked to start the 8th inning, that 3-run inning as the Blue Jays came back after trailing 5-2. And it all got started against left-hander Cliff Lee. Bautista standing at 19 home runs. There's that front side wide open as Bautista landed. The body was falling toward third base. And what we've seen recently is some signs of Jose landing square to the plate and giving himself a chance with his hands.
And now 3-0. That's where they want Jose to hit it.
I think this light is about as green as they get. They didn't come with the fastball, but it was a hittable spot with that slider. Slider's hit in the air to center field, but with room, Victorino makes the catch. So on the 3-1, Bautista flies to center. 2 down for the Blue Jays here in the 9th inning as Edwin Encarnacion comes to the plate.
He hit it hard. Just couldn't get it over Victorino's head in center field.
Bautista's had it airborne 4 times this afternoon. A couple of pop outs, a couple of fly ball outs. Edwin is 1 for 4. Struck out a couple of times, but he had that key double in the 8th inning. And every bit as key was the fact that Jimmy Rollins threw one away, trying to get Edwin sliding into the bag at second base. And now Francisco Cordero getting loose. He would figure to pitch the 10th if the Blue Jays extend the game to that point. They would love to have Edwin ended right here. Slider stays inside.
3-0 again. Send them home happy right here.
Mentioned that it's been a while since Edwin has hit a home run. That fastball right through the gut. And you wonder sometimes, and I'm sure you've done it, Pat, where you take a pitch and when it's all said and done you think, oh, I'd love to have that one back. There's a good slider at the knees.
Got some late life to it. And some late break right in the strike zone.
Encarnacion's last home run May 30th, 11 games back. That against the Orioles. Fastball grounded foul. So now the hinges are loose. And I'm a little curious as to the thinking of Encarnacion on the 3-0 when he got the fastball right down the middle. If he wasn't thinking about maybe trying to get the big swing and hit one out. Instead, he draws the 2-out walk to bring Kelly Johnson to the plate. If you were the hitting coach, would you think to remind Edwin Encarnacion that as the cleanup man and a guy with 17 bombs that might be exactly what we're looking for, is that big swing there?
Certainly. Some people aren't comfortable swinging 3-0.
Yeah,
I'm not sure about Edwin.
Kelly Johnson 2 for 4 on the day.
Some people say, you know what, I can hit 3-1 just as easy. 3-0, I'll take one. Schwimmer threw him a breaking ball, 3-1.
And a good one. Johnson now hitting 260. This pitch just off the outside edge. You can see that shake of the head no from Paul Schreiber, the home plate umpire. That means that he was responding to the catcher Schneider likely saying there's another good pitch, and Paul Schreiber saying no, it was outside. And a high fastball thrown by the bat. For Edwin Encarnacion down at first base, it's that time where you've got to get a good lead and a good secondary jump. Should Kelly Johnson hit a double somewhere, you got to be able to score.
Outfielders playing deep, trying to cut the ball off. No doubles, defense, nothing over your head, or the ball game's going to be over.
The one guy that's not playing overly deep would be Victorino in center field.
He's got some speed to cover that up. Now Blue Jays got to think about scoring here. Thinking about that extra base hit.
Kelly Johnson battling. Philadelphia with left-hander Joe Savory loosening in their pen in right field. But it's all about the moment right here. 2-2 the count on KJ. Breaking ball popped up shallow into left field. John Mayberry Jr. comes on. He'll make the catch, and we go to extra innings. So Michael Schwimmer gets it done in the 9th inning. It's a 5-5 game. And Phillies back at it tomorrow, another afternoon game, as Brett Cecil has rejoined the ball club and will make that start for the Blue Jays.
He's going to be matched up against Kyle Kendrick. Brett Cecil throwing a little bit better. His first start in AAA, started the year down in AA in New Hampshire. Moved up just this week to AAA. 6 strikeouts, no walks in that start in AAA, and then gets the start tomorrow.
Francisco Cordero now comes out of the pen, pitcher number 4 for the Jays. Been a rough year at times, 1-4. That doesn't tell stories for a lot of bullpen guys, but the 5.68 ERA will tell a lot about it, and the whip up around 1 3/4 base runners per inning. Cordero works it from the stretch. Ty Wigginton stands in, hits one in the air to center field. Colby Rasmus is right there. And 1 out on 1 pitch. John Mayberry Jr., the guy that had the big 3-run home run in the 3rd inning, at the time gave the Phillies a 4-1 lead. Gets the start in left field today, and it certainly has paid off for Charlie Manuel.
He was also in left field when the Blue Jays had the go-ahead run at 3rd base on the fly ball to left field. And his good arm kept that runner there on that fly ball by Rajay Davis.
Another good looking slider. This one breaks out of the strike zone. Pitch left up. That hanger gets fouled back. 1-2 the count.
That's the pitch where Francisco Cordero's been hurt a lot on this year. That pitch that just doesn't break and it just stays up in the strike zone. He has, excuse me, Alan, he's given up home runs this year. 5 of them in 25 innings.
"37 years of age now. A guy who has had huge success as a closer in the big leagues. Well, he's close, but just missing. And now full count on Mayberry.
Tough to take that pitch.
Yeah.
You've got to have a pretty good eye at the plate to be able to take that one just off the plate.
That slider got him. So a lot of confidence to come back with that pitch. And it looks sharp here this afternoon.
And in a good spot. 2-2 fastball just off the plate for ball 3, and then the confidence to throw that breaking ball almost in the same spot, down and away, to pick up the strikeout.
Catcher Brian Schneider on. He's reached 3 times in 4 plate appearances, hit by a pitch twice. He's drawn a walk in between grounding out, but when he walked in the 8th inning, he scored run number 5, and that was a costly run given up by the Blue Jays. Another that came with 2 outs. Left-hand hitter all the way. A couple of home runs on his season. A good-looking changeup. Trying to keep hitters off that fastball speed. Change pace. Cordero with more pitches down here this afternoon than we've seen at times this year. Well, the Blue Jays, it's been Ricky Romero, Robert Coelho, Casey Jansen, and now Francisco Cordero. This time the changeup is up. For the Phillies, Cliff Lee. And he came in 0-3 trying to win one. He'd had a couple get away that he had leads in this year, and it happened again today. And now a 2-out walk, and that has been a big tail on today's game.
4 out of their 5 runs have scored after 2 are out. And this is what it looked like a couple of innings ago. Wigington Mayberry went down swinging and had a couple of walks and a double. Put Cliff Lee in the driver's seat.
Phillies got a 2-out single with nobody aboard in the 3rd inning by Shane Victorino. That eventually led to 3 runs, and now a pinch runner for the Phillies as they'll go to Juan Pierre. So Schneider done with his day. The Phillies brought up a catcher this morning. Eric Kratz is likely the guy to come on. Carlos Ruiz, who is one of the game's best, has that left rib cage injury and figures to miss at least today's game and tomorrow's. So now speed at first base. Juan Pierre, one of the guys that's been stealing bags for a long time, held on by Edwin Encarnacion. And now Mike Fontenot grabs a bat to pinch hit for Michael Martinez.
They have that extra player on the bench. They sent down a young pitcher named Rosenberg to get that extra regular on the bench in Kratz. So now Charlie Manuel has 5 players that he's going to use off the bench.
Cordero is keenly aware of the speed of Juan Pierre. And Cordero falls behind. Mentioned that leadoff single by Victorino in the 3rd inning, leading not leadoff, but a 2-out bases empty single rather, leading to 3 runs. It was a walk with 2 outs in the 8th inning that led to that costly 5th run picked up by the Phils. What at the time looked to be insurance run.
Not too big of a lead over at first base for Pierre. He got plenty of time to get back.
There it goes. Pitch swung on and missed. Throw from the knees by Arancibia. Skips into center field. But Pierre got tangled up at second base and couldn't get up in time to get to third. This throw gets on by Yunel Escobar. No damage done. But Arancibia throwing from the knees, unable to make the good throw.
And the tangle at second base right there. He would have been able to make it to third easily as the ball sails right by him.
How often do you see a guy trying to steal a bag, diving to the outfield side of second base and right on by the bag? And that's what Pierre did.
Try to make that tag as far away from the catcher as possible.
His 14th bag of the year. There's a high strike called. 1-2 now on Mike Fontenot. So you would figure a base hit that gets through the infield puts the Phillies on top. Cordero trying to get his man. Fastball just inside.
Not a bad idea. Stay in there. Infield's got to play deep, cut off any ball, knock it down, keep it in the infield. Rajai Davis, the left fielder, not very deep.
And a fly ball to left field. Rajai Davis is right there. He makes the catch. And we go to the bottom of the 10th inning, still tied at 5 as Francisco Cordero gets the job done in the 10th. Have more ways to catch Sportsnet's live coverage of the Blue Jays. Watch the action live all season from your smartphone. Download the Rogers Live app from your app store.
A couple of defensive changes for the Phillies as they pinch hit in the top of the inning. That's Eric Kratz, who was just called up this morning by the Phillies and made his way, landed about 11:30 this morning. Mike Fontenot, who pinch hit, will stay in the ballgame and take over at second base for Philadelphia. He's the utility infielder, and Joe Savory will come on. Just his 16th game of the season for Savory, a left-hander. There are his numbers: 0-1 with a .412 earned run average. Savory's got a fastball about 89 to 94 miles an hour, sharp slider, cutter, and a very good changeup. So he will face the bottom of the order as we head to the bottom of the 10th.
And that bottom of the order started by Yunel Escobar, who's had himself a day, 3 for 4, including a solo home run to tie the game at 1 in the second inning, his 4th of the year. A couple of singles have followed. He's also popped to second.
base runners, good at bats. That's what you're looking for right now.
Savory finds the strike zone.
Not necessarily trying to end the ball game with a home run, but just put a good swing on the ball.
You love those leadoff doubles.
Yep.
Or anything even better than that, but that chance to play some small ball and try to pick it up.
Percentages say you're not going to hit a home run. It's just too tough, but they go up if you're thinking about double. If you're thinking about lining the ball in the gaps.
Blue Jays have not been a big doubles team this year, though, surprisingly, and they are one of the big home run hitting teams.
Yep. I thought this team would hit more two-baggers. Even though you're ahead in the count here, 3-1, make a good swing. Not long.
And Escobar gets the job done as he reaches to start the 10th inning. So Savory comes in, walks his first man. And Charlie Manuel has to be unhappy about that. Managers and pitching coaches hate that leadoff walk.
He's a former #1 pick out of Rice in 2007, and he will walk you. Needs a little bit better command with that fastball, but he's got a great arm. McCoy will try and move that runner along.
Yeah, you would figure the bunt would be in order here with McCoy. Turns to bunt, backs away. Well, he slides that right hand right up into the barrel of the bat. Guy that has bunted a lot in his career. And you have to have that good touch in order to get that right hand right up into the barrel.
Joey Lovullo, that's one of his students right there. Rajay Davis, Omar Vizquel, Mike McCoy, they were out here early yesterday working on their bunting. Not just getting it down, but making it a good bunt.
There's a balk. Yeah. When you throw to first base with a runner aboard, the first baseman has to be at the bag. And as Savory started to his move, the guy he picked off was his first baseman, Wigginton, who started toward the plate. And when the throw came to Wigginton at that point, it's a balk.
Yeah, a little bit better communication between a young pitcher and his first baseman. Wigginton's going to charge as soon as he picks up that front foot. And right away, he's going to be called for a balk.
And so the Blue Jays have the Phillies hand them their sacrifice. And now you wonder, might Mike McCoy be once again trying to lay down a bunt?
A little bit different now. With the runner at first base, you're going to try and bunt the ball to the right side of the infield and make that first baseman field it. Now with the runner at second base, you're going to try and bunt it to third and make that third baseman field it, giving an opportunity for Escobar to get to third base.
Here's the deal, though. A left-hander on the hill has a much easier time throwing to third base. If that bunt is away from the line and gives the pitcher the chance, he has a golden shot to throw to that lead base. McCoy turns to bunt and bunts it foul on the left side.
Make him throw you a strike. Make him throw you a strike.
1 ball and 1 strike on McCoy. The signs come out from Brian Butterfield. He wants to make sure that Yunel Escobar is picking up those signs as well. Escobar has a big assignment. He's got to find a way not to get picked off at second base, all the while getting a big lead and jump in the event the bunt is laid down. Shortstop Jimmy Rollins trying to play close to Escobar. Again, McCoy shows bunt and drops it foul on the left side. I think a lot of people believe that the bunt is just a simple, well, let's put the bunt on, it'll get laid down and everything will be fine at that point, but it just doesn't play out that way. You would think Mike McCoy, though, a guy that has been kind of that player throughout his career that's been called upon to bunt a good deal, would be a guy that would have a great chance of laying one down fair.
Keep it on.
Well, it's a tough call. You give up and out if you fail in that bid. What do you think?
I'll let you know as soon as the pitch is on the way.
Second guesser. 1 and 2 the count. McCoy takes one low. But you better not get caught looking here if you're given the chance to swing the bat.
Yeah, win the game right here.
And And a reminder, fans, right after this game, we're going to Detroit on Sportsnet to check in on the Rockies and the Tigers. Two and two the count. Savory. Breaking ball chopped past the mound. That's perfectly done for the Blue Jays. Phillies will get the out at first base as Escobar moves into third and just one out.
You know, you don't expect that with two strikes, but a ball really in the no man's land where the third baseman has to vacate third base. Just opening it up for Escobar to read it perfectly, and he can move up. Tapped over the mound, out of the reach of the pitcher. Third baseman has to come in, and look at that, wide open spaces for Escobar.
So McCoy failed in the two bids to lay down a bunt, then gets it done with the swing. And now the Phillies will not walk anybody. They'll bring the infield in as J.P. Arencibia stands to the plate. The outfield also draws in.
They have to position themselves in the outfield where a line drive, they can catch the ball. Anything over their head, the ball game's over.
The line drive at that depth where they can make a throw to the plate and maybe cut off the run. Arencibia takes high. Arencibia had one of the big swings for the Blue Jays among their 14 hits on the day. That came in the 8th inning. A double right inside the bag at third base and down the line, driving in a run. His 32nd ribby on the year. And he needs to pick one up right here. Swinging a foul into the catcher's mitt. Got a pitch to handle.
Yeah, you're looking for a fly ball to the outfield deep enough. But you're not looking for a long swing. You want to stay compact, stay short with your swing, and that's how you get the ball to the outfield. If you start lifting it out there, that's the ones you're going to pop up.
Arencibia gets jammed, loops one down the right side. Wigginton on the run, can't get there. And that's a break for the Blue Jays. This little looper just out of the reach of the drawn-in Ty Wigginton. If he's back, maybe makes that play.
Well, Escobar was tagging up also. That would have been interesting if Wigginton, look at full-fledged going out with his back towards the infield. And Escobar had gone back to tag up.
Brian Butterfield no doubt had a part in that, saying tag, tag, tag all the way. Well, that could have gotten very interesting, and now 1-2 on Arencibia. It is get the job done time for JP. Leadoff walk, a balk, a ground out, and the Blue Jays with the golden opportunity. Arencibia down on strikes. And now the tag applied as the ball gets away from the catcher just a bit, but that is a very big out picked up by Savory.
Got to a slider count, and he's got a good one. Buries it in the dirt and picks up a big out. A strikeout with a runner at third. Now the infield can go back to normal depth.
And now it's in the hands of Rajai Davis with 2 down. What a difference. Rajai Davis has singled and scored. He's stolen a base today. All of that in 4 at-bats. Flied out to left field in the 8th inning with a man at third base and 1 out. And that was costly. Gets jammed as he taps one foul. You had Mike McCoy as a pinch runner at third base. Arencibia was at second at the time with 1 out. The Blue Jays had caught the Phillies at 5 and tried to jump on top. But Rajai unable to get enough of it as he flied shallow to left field. Escobar dashing down that third base side. And now the count at 0-2 on Rajai. Blue Jays are just 2-4 in extra inning affairs this year.
Looking to win their first game here at Rogers Center in extra innings.
Rajai hits one in the air to left center field. Long run for the Phillies outfielders. They're not going to get there. It splits them. Rajai Davis, a double to plate Yunel Escobar with the game winner as the Blue Jays celebrate on the field. They come back and win their first at home in extra innings. They're 3-4 in extra innings on the season. 6-5 Blue Jays win over these Philadelphia Phillies to make it 2 straight.
You know, we've talked about this team being a very resilient team and a team that will battle you. You hand Cliff Lee a 3-run lead in the 8th inning and you think it's over. Blue Jays keep battling. They score 3 in the 8th, 1 here in the 10th. Capped off. What an afternoon for Rajai Davis. There's your game winner.
Yeah, Rajai got 2 chances to drive in a man at third base, one with 1 out, this one with 2 outs, and this one he comes through on. That's a big win for the Blue Jays to go a game over 500, and the Phillies are reeling now as they take another loss. Joy on the field for the Blue Jays.
Rajai Davis had an excellent afternoon. You mentioned the 2 hits. He was also robbed of a hit twice by the defense, so he could have had 4 hits this afternoon. But the big game winner, right man at the right spot, is what we used to call it.
So the Blue Jays win it 6-5 as they out-hit the Phillies 15-9 on this glorious afternoon. Blue Jays back over 500, and now we turn it to Rash.
Alan, thank you very much. Rajai, was an off-speed pitch. Take us through it.
Well, you know, I was down 0-2. I mean, he had the advantage. You know, just got a good pitch to hit. He made a mistake, and I was able to put a good swing on.